Okay, how about now? Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, cool. That's a good one. Also, hey Maker, good to see you tonight. And Luxy, glad you're joining us. Yep, not sure. Audio device changed entirely. OBS had an update, so it's entirely possible that it's that. Usually I'm not the person to see updates ruining everything, except in Beat Saber mods. But, you know, those are mods. I don't actually blame Beat Saber for that as much as I'd like to. Oh, man, Monday. Comes out of nowhere. I sincerely thought there was an extra day of the weekend this week. And the other way round, to be honest. On Saturday night, I was reminded that the what are you doing tomorrow? I'm probably going to work. And they were like, no. Like, oh shit, good point. And I'm really glad she let me know. It was a sense of palpable relief when I realized I did not have to return to the office the next day. Because, God, it just felt so unfair. The weekend was so short. Because I had artificially removed a day from it. Yeah. So it's not time being a jerk this time. It's just me not paying attention. It's not strictly... not strictly a very insightful and intelligent thing to say. Hey, I had an extra day the weekend because I forgot. Yeah, hey, I absolutely did think Sunday was Monday. And on Saturday night, I was quite relieved that the next day was not, in fact, Monday. Well, that's good. I was intending to go into the office today and decided against it. After I was asked at a party, hey, you going into work on Monday? And I'm like, I don't know, but probably not. Hendo, good to see you tonight. I can feel a hangover already, was what I was thinking. So I decided to not follow through. Spend some time getting up earlier to travel in. I have parties? Yeah, I was at one. Carefully regimented 10 people allowed into the building. But there was taco mints and there was some really delicious salsa that I managed to snag a small container of to take home. And there were several not amazing but still interesting enough to sample Bundaberg rum and sarsaparilla premix cans. Which I'm glad I had, but they weren't like significantly interesting at all. I would much rather mix that myself. Actually, that's how I feel about a lot of premix drinks. They taste like slightly alcoholic, worst possible sodas. You know? Extremely unappealing. Do you like sarsaparilla, though, Luxy? Because I do like SARS. Whenever I have SARS, I think I would like a more expensive and stronger tasting version of this. Betrayal. So, if I were to want to make a Bundaberg rum and sarsaparilla, I would use probably a different rum. Probably a very different rum and a very expensive sarsaparilla that tasted. I love SARS. I still loved SARS even when it was the current du jour making fun of this upper respiratory disease that is affecting the world and therefore was not selling particularly well. It's bunny cook for people who hate their taste buds. Look, it tasted very, very Queensland. Oh my god. Being called out here in the chat. This is not fair. You know what's going to happen, right? I'm going to make a Bundy, SARS, and Jaeger cocktail. You know that. That's what happens. But I had drinks last night, so I'm actually not going to make a cocktail, an alcoholic cocktail tonight. I'll be making something good, don't worry. But I don't need to have any other drinks tonight. I could make one good. I really could. The thing is, given its main ingredient, like the most flavorful ingredient being sarsaparilla, you probably wouldn't enjoy it anyway. But I'd enjoy it. I'd enjoy it a lot. Is tonight's drink a bottle of SodaStream Diet Mountain Dew? No. Because SodaStream don't release a Mountain Dew and Diet. Otherwise, yes. No. I have something in mind. It involves a syrup that Emma found. It was quite interesting. And with a little bit of extra garnish as well, you can kick up a non-alcoholic drink to be as fancy and delicious as cocktails. Mocktails are not a betrayal. I used to think they were at some point when I'm like, this thing is like $1 cheaper than a regular cocktail and it doesn't have the most expensive ingredient. Why do I like it? But it turns out drinks are good even without alcohol. And a lot of the things inside them can be... You can use other syrups and flavors to make interesting cocktails / mixed and blended drinks. And I want to at least try and prove that at least a little. Because I have an interesting syrup that I have used and tested and want to add it to another one to show you something cool. And we will. But if we're going to show you something cool, why don't we also like click the right button. And show you something interesting inside Pillars of Eternity. Don't get me started, Mako. I will play Kingdom Hearts on stream. It's on PC, I can, you know. I don't have it on PC, but it does exist. I'm not going to buy Melody of Memory. Very, very lovely friend is like, I will give you the synopsis of what happens. And she was like, first of all, it's a chain of memories again, in the sense that you're going to replay. Yeah. I mean, I like rhythm games too, so it's not a terrible idea. Should probably play Theatre Rhythm too. Oh, look, I'll keep fingers crossed, Emma. I hope the cat does not eat your dinner. That would be mean. Then again, the cat would love to eat your dinner. Alright, we're poking at people. Can we can we hear our dudes? Can't hear him. This is why I check, you know. Perfect. All that lovely music could be without entirely. That's terrible. Device. There.
How may I help?
Change the device. Got some sound up.
Right here.
What do you think?
Of course. Yeah? Sure.
Your thoughts must flow. I would hear your thoughts, just not so often.
Not very loud? Just Jimbles. The hardest part is that I can't. This is what happens when I'm running late and have issues. You may have a terrible echo now. Yeah, you do. Of course you do. Yep, okay. Now we're going to turn the master volume back up, see if that helps.
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
Okay,
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
how do you feel now, everybody?
Hey.
Okay, I think we're in luck. Alright, beautiful. Let's go.
Of course.
Look at that Stalgar. Big black kitty. Worried huntress. A grandfather woman stares at the ground. Her bushy eyebrows frown in a straight line. Never before has a man slipped past with so much ease. A sign, a dark sign. An elven man waves his hand in an arc over the ground. It has come to pass. At the end of the motion, his long fingers close into a fist. We could have foreseen it. We could not have foreseen it. And the Delimgan could not either.
Many blessings, traveler.
The woman shakes her head. What does that tell us? She notices you, her thick eyebrows arching together in surprise. Estremor, excuse us, we're not used to your kind here under the great trees. If we can assist you, we will. Tell me about the man you speak of. Not Glenfarthern. Broke into the tower, here in Elms Reach. Nobody saw him come, not even the Delimgan. He moved in silence like a stale girl in the shadows. Our hunters caught no scent until it was too late. But we heard the stones crack when he stepped inside Tir Everon. Dark omen. I say this. Delimgan, what are they? They are the ancient children of the giant elms. Our people have lived with the two sisters in peace since we arrived hundreds of years ago. Delimgan call us friends. We call them our own kin, our protection, their wisdom. Together we share a strong bond. I've always lived under the shadow of the great elms. Walk until you see the stream, and then there you'll find the Delimgan sisters. Didn't admit it. That's a good point. Why are we here? We knew Theos went to Twin Elms. Why are we here? We're chasing Theos. The bastard needs to die. Or at least we need to tell him to stop give souls back to children in this town. This whole Deerwood thing. We saw the soul of a previous leader. We are currently in Old Song, I'm pretty sure. We're in Elms Reach. We were in Hertsong earlier. We spoke briefly to a tribe or clan leader. I don't remember their official title right now, which is not great. And they were like, I'm not going to give you permission to go in. I gave permission to someone recently, and he fucked everything up. And we're like, yes, but what if we're a watcher, and we can see your soul? We did. She let us through. We learned that Theos has caused trouble. Oh look, here's someone causing trouble.
You have stayed true to our cause, Inquisitor, when so many others have not. For every heretic we confess, for every betrayer that burns, new sheep continue to flock to Iavara ex Incios. But not you. I underestimated you in the beginning, but no longer.
You honor me, Grand Inquisitor.
It is not for honor that I summoned you today, but for duty. Too many of our own have confessed upon the wheel and the rack and the flame. Too many of our faithful have had their minds poisoned by the Kratom witch. The tide is against us now. We have but one option. Iavara's following must see her exposed for what she is. She must confess her heresy before my court.
You may recognize this name, but it's never come up in a way that'll tell us what's going on. You're being introduced essentially to a new, large complication. How would we reach her?
Not in Kratom, surely. Their lord has embraced her heathen faith and protects her with his army. But in Oceanus, things would be different. The king of Oceanus is a sinful man. We have helped him to see the error of his ways, and now he fears for his soul. He would pay any price for absolution.
But how would we get Iavara to move to Oceanus? Again, Oceanus, or Oceanus, Oceanus, is also a newly introduced city. We're deliberately supposed to look at these names and places, Gratium, Oceanus, Oceanus, there you go, and go, we don't recognize that, that's different, because we're seeing things in the very distant past. Theos puts a hand on his shoulder.
You have already done much for the Inquisition. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Previously, as we walked closer, we were asked, is she, like, what is she to you? We're like, I don't know who she is, but we're going to say sister. She's our sister. And if you're playing, like, not weekly and disappearing to do all of White March, you perhaps be able to put together that the person Theus asked, who is she to you? We answer, our sister is potentially this person. This Avara. The clear waters taste sweet and refreshing. The Twin Elms discovered. The game itself is about to put all its cards on the table. Like, not right now, but very, 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 very soon. And everything will be laid out, and you can understand the whole story. Two identical women seem to fade into view as they move away from the great trees that camouflage them. Their skin is tree bark, ridged and scaly, wreathed in a curling tangle of roots, buds, and blooms. Their hair hangs beneath a shade of serrated leaves like the drooping branches of the elms above, and the pupils of their eyes are encircled by hundreds or even thousands of concentric rings, as if to mark the accumulated wisdom of millennia. That's fucking cool. Steal that. Any tree person, tree race, whatever, dryads, Delimgan, whatever you want to call them. Fucking neat as hell.
Turn around, flesh creature. Outsiders are not permitted to approach the elms.
One of them extends a snarl of roots towards you that snakes and twists together to form something like an open hand, palm down.
Do you not feel it, sister? Something familiar. An ancient soul, like the other one. Another defiler, no doubt. Let us fell him and be troubled no more. It would pay the debt of his predecessor.
The other stares at you unblinking, and as her frown deepens, her face creaks.
So it would seem, Rhiannon. But we must not hasten to judgment. I see a different motive here. Different questions in these eyes.
What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says? Or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds?
Lux, to answer your question, things were not clearly explained. Well, like our backstory, right? Why is Theos trying to kill us? Why does Theos see us as an enemy he's fought before? What history do we have with this man who is strictly trying to stop the births? Right? Why are the souls going to the machine? Like, I understand there could be a version of Pillars where they don't explain those questions. They're just like, okay, you defeat him, you get a little bit of his plan, but not all of it, and that would be remarkably unsatisfying, and also kind of old video game storytelling. Sometimes even old adventure novel, fantasy novel. Like, you deal with a problem, it's solved. The evil wizard, Theos, doesn't need an answer, he's just... Oh. Yeah, alright, sorry, good point. What are they? They're like, we're the friends. Again, doesn't answer. Yeah. These are the twins, the tree spirits. Delimgans are also just a random enemy you can fight out in the wilderness. We've killed heaps. These ones are special because they are plot. What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says, or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds? So, chat. Took us a little bit, but 20 minutes in, let's choose a dialogue option, right? Number 1, I seek a man who came through here. It sounds as though you already met him. And 2, I heard there was a commotion here and I came to investigate. 3, my business concerns the health of this land and you would be wise to aid me. And 4, I've forgotten my purpose in the presence of such legendary beauty. Have I begun hallucinating in double? And 5, I'd gladly burn this place down, but I have more pressing concerns. Hando and Loxy, 2 votes for 1. That's very sensible and quite makes a lot of sense. Now, I will admit, I definitely want to choose 4, even if it does get us knocked down like a tree. But maybe it'll get a root. Har. Wait just a moment for anyone else's votes if they're catching up. I'll be asked to leave. My oh my, I think honestly it could be worthwhile. I'm messing with sound settings. I know, you may hear nothing for a little bit while we just wait for one last thing. See, when I have... Nope, never mind. I'll fiddle with that later. Rooting for 4. Well, I think we should choose one. We've had 2 votes for 1.
There. By his own admission, Sheetha.
Oh yeah, this is gonna go well.
Really, sister? And you wonder why your leaves begin to fall out before midsummer. Clearly that man did not want to be followed. Whatever the relationship here, I suspect it is anything but cordial.
Riowyn opens her mouth to respond, but all that escapes her knotted lips is an exasperated, rustling sigh. Sheetha turns back to face you.
The answer is yes, old one. We crossed paths with Theos not long ago, and we can tell you where he went. But I find it curious that anyone would seek him out. Suspicious, even. If we are to help you find him, we would know why.
We have 7 options here. 1, I have a problem and he's the only one who can fix it. 2, stopping him might end Widewind's legacy. 3, he must face justice for his transgressions. 4, he crossed me. I intend to get my revenge. 5, we seem to be linked and I need to know why. 6, I don't fully know myself. And 7, my reason's my own concern. It has nothing to do with you. We're looking at votes for 2 or 3. 2 votes for 2, so that's a current winner. Not 7, says Emma. That makes sense too. Like, they are standing in front of the door. Oh, Hendo, no! Okay, now we have 3 votes for 2. That's good. It's like... 2 and 3 are both very legitimate options, but here's the one that's like... They're ideological differences, and we are answering on behalf of Slime Shadows. It's okay, Mako, you rest up. And to me, it's like, even if we're not choosing one, we're still answering honestly. So, like, I'm gonna pick 2, but I think, no, you've got to assume that you're answering honestly unless it says straight up lie. And that's a good thing to ask your, like, tying it back to tabletop play. It is a good thing when you're asking players to answer questions or roleplay out that they sometimes clarify out and say, I'm lying here. Or, no, this is how I feel. It's good. It feels good. It also adds clarity in situations that matter. Sometimes, but deceptive are the ones that are lies. Sometimes deceptive is the, like, deceptive is the trait that you gain from using deception a lot. And, like, other times with... It also has lie at the beginning as well to designate it's an explicit lie. And that one is very often done when you're not only lying, but there's the same text without the word lie. Like, oh yeah, I'll give it to you, and oh yeah, I'll give it to you.
So that is the reason he passed this way. This is low, even for the leaden key.
Yep. Well, that's interesting. She'd already know about the leaden key, and that the person who came past is part of the leaden key.
I told you we should have confronted him, Sheetha. He has always been a poison.
Alright, Luxie. Never mind. Let's try this again. Oh, yeah, I'll give it to you. And, oh, yeah, well, I'll give it to you. Followed by a third meaning. Oh, yeah, I'll give it to you. Can we get a 4th one? Oh, yeah, I'll give it to you. There you go. Can we go for 5th? Oh, yeah, I'd give it to you. Maybe.
It would have been the last thing we ever did, sister. Who can be said to have ever gotten the better of Theos?
And they also know it's Theos.
Yes, but Imagine how much fun it would have been. Can't you just picture him all strung up in vines like an angry little puppet?
But that's not what this is really about, is it? You are bound to that man.
Sheeta glances over you, and then her expression changes as though seeing you for the first time.
I see it now. You are awakened. Your soul is awake, and something once buried deep now wells to the surface. Past overwhelms present, closes in around you. Your time has nearly reached its end.
I just need to get to Theos.
I am sorry to tell you this, but Theos cannot give you what you seek. Nor can any man. An awakening cannot be undone, any more than your past can be undone.
Whoop! No rest for the Watcher. We're never getting this out of our head. Great. What's she mean? I thought Melwood said... What's she mean? I thought Melwood said... Aloth's face is rigid. This is... permanent? Grieving mother. To be chained to such a past. Her face is pale, her eyes hollow. A bitter and grievous thing, Watcher. So, this has all been for nothing, and I'm going to lose my mind.
The soul is formless without a past to shape it. Did you truly expect to be able to wipe it away?
6 options. 1. No, but I'd hoped it would be something I could forget. 2. I'd rather have tried to put things right. 3. I would live with it if I could. 4. That or kill the man that brought it up. 5. I had to believe in something. And 6. I didn't have a choice. No rest for the Watcher. Remember that occasionally, it's not perfectly spread out throughout the game, but Adair wakes you up in the middle of the night and it's like, dude, you're not sleeping. You're having constant nightmares of your previous soul. Are you okay? And you can only answer with not really, or I'm pretending, but I'll be alright. Things get worse. Maywald went completely mad, tormented by the versions of his past. He had a particularly traumatic series of past lives in his soul, that's for sure. But it's not like you're having an easy time either. Now, you know there's the Pillars of Eternity too, so perhaps you don't go entirely mad. We've got 1 questioning vote for 3 and 1 vote for 2. My friends, we need to pick one. Maybe make it, yeah. It does seem to be causing a lot of troubles for people's lives. Sadly, it's explicitly part of the setting. It's like how in a JRPG the church is up to no good. Sorry, no, you need to pick a answer, not you have to pick one. You need to pick... yeah, Blumeko, I agree. You need to put some words into Slam Shadow's mouth. Words that he believes. What was our motivation as we went through? In some layer, our motivation is, this is a video game and we are following the bouncing ball until the end. Right? Fair. But in another, we're being given an opportunity, asked a direct question by the GM, even if they are a digital GM. What does your character feel about this main quest? Why did you go on it? And this is actually a pretty good way to backdoor in motivation. Because at the beginning of a D&D game, especially if it's not some grand, elaborately pre-written out story or pre-written adventure, you're just going to do it because you want to play your tabletop game with your friends. And at some point, you can tack on a motivation to your characters. Like, staple it to them and say, oh no, I've always felt that. I would rather have tried to put things right, which is the current winner. A noble thought, but for the lifetimes that separate you from your problems.
However, as much as my sister speaks truly that there is no way back from an awakening, there may yet be a way forward. Would you agree, Shiva?
I would. Were the way not so likely to end in death.
You underestimate me.
Or perhaps you underestimate your foe, old one. Where your soul is renewed in its ignorance in each span of your life, his only grows in cunning and resolve.
Bastard.
The man Theos you must already know by now. You are linked by a common past. Something about it lingers within you, festering, unresolved. What it is I cannot see any more than you. And without that knowledge, your doom is certain.
I wanted to just pick at that time. I think it may not be perfectly slammed, but it feels right.
But were you to learn the source of this discord, perhaps it could be put to rest. Though it is equally possible it will trouble you as much now as it did then, and merely speed your condition to its end.
My past comes to me in pieces. How do I unlock the rest?
You might wait for it to come on its own, of course. But when it comes, it will replace your sanity's last breath. Such is the nature of your condition.
Or you could learn it from someone who already knows.
Theos. Would he remember?
It is said the gods made his memory perfect, that he may never forget his charge. If he ever knew, he still does.
Dude's got eidetic memory. And eidetic memory across his past lives, too.
Not that he would tell you, of course.
Alright, well, we gotta punch it out of him then.
You have followed the right person for the wrong reason, it seems. We see it often beneath the elms. The soul dragging mind and body to unknown places for unfathomable reasons. You may have wandered into Theos' path many times, in many lifetimes, without an awakening to show you why.
The only thing that's certain is you did not find what you sought.
You said you know where he went.
He has gone down beneath the tower to a place older than we, where the people of Engwith once walked. He makes his way to the buried city, sun and shadow.
She head nods, causing leaves to shuffle against one another.
May he stay down there and rot with the remains of his people.
His people.
He may yet. He won't be returning the way he came, that much is certain. He opened a secret path in the tower's base, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means.
Is there another way to get to it?
We know of one. On the burial isle, through the court of the penitents, Braeth Yaman. A shortcut, in fact.
Don't be cruel, sister.
Before I hit spacebar, I continue the conversation. Yeah, Maker, you're actually right. Sometimes games are about freeing people from a core part of the setting. Absolutely. It would be interesting to end the cycle of rebirth in Pillars, right?
The way my sister speaks of is not for the faint of heart. A great pit at the center of a forgotten court, where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it is simply a gateway to death. With the help of the gods, it can take you where you want to go.
I can scroll up for you, Lexi. He won't be returning the way he came. He opened a secret path on Tower's base, like there, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means. Is there another way to get to him? Yes, on the burial isle through the Court of Penitents, a shortcut. Don't be cruel. Why? Because a great pit is at the center of a forgotten court where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it's simply a gateway to death. I have to jump into a pit. Is this some trick? Oh no, it's fine. Chat will immediately make you jump into the pit. Chat loves making Slam Shadows jump into pits full of blood. Oh, sister, if only we thought to trick Theos into jumping.
No trick, I'm afraid. Though without the proper preparations, the fall will certainly kill you.
Good idea, Lexi.
The pit is said to have been a means of judgment by the gods. Those cast into it are meant to die. It is that way you must pass to reach Sun and Shadow. The court is old. We do not know much for certain, but it would seem only the gods themselves can grant passage.
What is this court?
No more than a ruin now. It is older than we. A place for the Trial of Heretics. We were not here to witness it. But at one time there was a group that refused to acknowledge the gods. Neither the first nor the last, of course, but these were numerous and all put on trial for it. Those who did not repent were cast into the pit and imprisoned below. The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people, but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal. It is said that many of the condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend from the pit, so long as they pledged their service to one of them. But these are old legends.
How would I ever get the gods to help me?
Behind us is Ter Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods. If ever there was a time for prayer, you have found it.
So the only way to get through this pit is to pray for help.
Not the only way. Just the only one that doesn't end with your body impaled on jagged rocks.
Who would I pray to? Any god you can, I should think.
I would pray first to those gods you like best. I hope for your sake the feeling is shared.
Is there no other way?
None.
How do I pray?
Ter Evron is also called the Hall of Stars, and the stars show us the allegiances of the gods. When stars are in conjunction, we know the gods they represent are aligned as well. You should choose a place to pray where you'll be closest to those you want to hear you. If a god stands alone, you should pray to that god. If they band together, you should address them all. Choose your words wisely, for all gods expect proper homage, and none has patience for fools.
I have other questions.
What do you wish to know?
How did you know I was pursuing Theos?
The same way that you are no doubt able to peer into the ether and experience the souls of others. It is something we are born with, some more, some less. A gift common to many creatures of the wilds. You share certain similarities with the man you pursue. For your sake, I pray they are few and of no consequence.
You mentioned that people come to these elms without knowing why. A soul has a will all its own. It needs and whims are seldom understood, but they follow them all the same.
There is something about this place that reaches beyond our understanding, something like a beacon. The Elms have a way of uniting souls that have been seeking one another, with or without their owner's awareness. Sometimes it is for love, sometimes for vengeance, sometimes for peace. Often it is for no reason we will ever know. In your case, let us hope it is for peace.
Or vengeance.
I want to know about the two of you. I asked some people when I walked in. They didn't answer me at all.
There is little to be said about us, for we are bound here, caretakers and defenders of this place. Our journey has been over time, but not distance, measured in observations, but not experiences. We have seen the elms grow tall. We have seen cities built, burned, and built again. The only constant has been the tower, a silent companion through the ages. You can imagine why this recent destruction has stirred my sister so.
If you do nothing else, make that man pay for what he did here.
I need to know about praying for the support of the gods.
We will tell you what we can.
Okay, never mind. I've already asked those questions. That's it. Farewell.
Before you go, tell me this, old one. I'm curious. If you were to subdue your enemy, what would you do with him? What would give you peace?
7 answers, chat. 1. I won't know until I get there. 2. I need to understand her history so it may be put to rest. Nothing more. 3. He must be destroyed. 4. I would return him to the wheel of life and death so that he may trouble me no more. 5. I wish to undo the harm he's caused. 6. I would set him on a better path. And 7. I would take his place and power for myself. What do we do to Theos? If we take him down, what would give Slam Shadows peace? An interesting and fascinating question, and one that I think is absolutely worth considering. A lot of games, less tabletop, but it happens a lot in video games. They give you this option after the fight. Like straight up after the fight, and they actually don't give you a chance to consider or think about it before then as well. It's like, okay, you beat the boss, now what do you do? And you'll get perhaps one or two options, not many at all, and that's no good. Here, you're asked to consider this before you're actually making the decision, and this is really good because you're signposting to the players, whether you're at your tabletop or at your computer, that you will be given a choice of what to do with Theos, and you're allowed to think about that choice now before it becomes dreadfully important to have an answer for it. You feel like a lot of these are realistic? I mean, like, one is pretty reasonable. Like, I don't know, man. What will that fight look like? What if I turn up to where he is and I'm like, I'm gonna kick you right in the teeth, and then when you say, all right, I'm done, you can say, all right, I'm glad we have finished here. Congratulations. You know, that could be what we do. It's probably not. Yeah. So, Mako, you're very clever, and I like it. Because, and I'm not about to say but and then make you feel silly. No, you're very clever. The writer fucked up in this dialogue because they did not explicitly say, and they do later, if as an endgame choice of Theos, if you return him to the wheel of life and death properly, you remove his memory, and then his soul just continues the way everyone else's does, and he may awaken, but he won't have the perfect memory anymore. And so the writer knows that, and the writer put it in as an option here, and did this signposting thing, potentially after they wrote the endings of the game, and then didn't make it clear at some point that if we return him to the Wheel of Life and Death, he will not have his memory properly. You know, just like everyone else. You remove his power to have plans that last beyond lives. That organizations put him back to the top immediately, just because of the things he knows. And he'd just be a regular person. We got a couple of votes for 5, and I think 5 is like it's easy to assume that, you know, Luxie. I understand that it's an easy assumption to say that when you're returning to the wheel of life and death, so that he may trouble me no more, is like, yeah, make him dead like a normal person, because he's got a trick. The gods are favoring this man, and we're going to tear him down and likely annoy many of the gods as it is part of that process. A trend that, okay, it's not, I'm hinting at spoilers here, but a trend that annoying the gods is a trend that does not stop for Pillars 2. So let's choose 5. I wish to undo the harm he's caused.
You would need to have twice as many lifetimes as he to repair his savage work.
But perhaps there are strides you can make.
All the same, think on this matter. Be assured in your course. In the end, it may mean all the difference, not just to his soul, but to yours. And be warned. Some questions have answers that can never be learned. And it is those that trouble the soul above all others. May you find an answer to yours.
Yeah, Luxie, you got it. The gods are clearly not a monolith. They are part of a power structure that is a monolith, but they clearly don't agree with each other all the time, because White March is all about helping restore one god because another one fucking killed it. Or in some form. Wade. Not quite. There's Whale, who is like eyes, knowledge, finding knowledge, and then hiding knowledge and secrets as well. Probably not a great idea to ask him for help. It's also entirely possible you're thinking of Wodaka, who is like the Empress, the fallen and ruined Empress, you know. But Skain is a god that I'd be like, I'm straight up not going to help that guy, given their rituals are fucked up. Book of the Hunt, Gallowayne, Daily Affirmations of Focus and Efficiency. That's, I think, Abaddon. Excerpts for Sermon of Struggle, Magrin. The Midwife's Memoirs, Hylia, the queen that was and still is, Wartica. Yoink. Final Journal of Jonas, Skaen. Missives of the Hand Occult, Whale. The Many Faces of Bareth. Skaen. Yeah, Skaen. Retrieved the daughter quest. 10 Years of Dawn. Aethys. Selected correspondences of Giftbringer Iden. Ondra. The enigmatic god of cold. This guy doesn't come up very much. Rymagrand. Young students are often confused by Bareth's and Rymagrand's similarly overlapping realms and holding dominion over death. Bareth oversees a cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Rymagrand oversees the cold, destructive act of death itself. This difference is often difficult for novices to appreciate until they've lost a loved one and endured the absence for a time. It is Bareth that determines we will be reborn just as certainly as we will die, but Rymagrand is the executioner's axe. Rymagrand shows that all life ends in stillness. Altar. Luminescent Adrashard. Crisp flashes of light run through this Adrashard, pulsing in its faceted core like veins of light fueled by a heart of fire. Shattered and charred stone blocks the passage into sun and shadow.
I've seen wild stars in the sky before, but I've never seen them beneath my feet.
You gotta pick up the luminescent Adrashard, use it on the thing. Now, we can talk to some divinities. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. You do not need to vote on which divinity we are talking to. The choice of them happens later. We can and will do each of the things they ask us to do. They give you side quests to earn their favor. And I intend to do all of them. And it's not bad, because we do actually need to, like, you can do their quests in a way that's like, I'm just going to do it so you let me into the fucking pit because I need to survive. And I feel like that's likely how we'll take it. And then they offer you a boon as well. I would like to accept one of them. That's pretty important. And they also offer us a choice of something. You'll know in just a moment. That thing we need to vote on. Okay? A piercing ring fills your ears as you approach Whale's shrine. There is no other response. Nothing happens when you approach Wartica's shrine. Okay. Council of Stars. In a nearby constellation, you can make out the shape of a strange horned beast. From time to time, you think you sense a faint chill emanating from the shrine itself. Pray to Rymagrand. You kneel before the shrine and prepare to recite the ritual words. Jimbles does not remember this. Give me a second. You can read the law books to get the answers. Yeah, let's do that. I could look it up, but that sounds not as much fun. Let's play the game properly, shall we? It's random. We want to sort by Summon of Struggle, Mayface of Birth. No, it's Magret again. It's Galawain. Okay, so it's probably something we've already got before. Enigmatic God of Cold. Yeah. Since when do I play games properly? Fuck, called out. She's totally right. I need only to show them the symbol of Rumagran, the bone-white oryx skull found carved within the most ancient of Angwithan ruins. It is a symbol of death and doom in every culture. Any child with 4 winters under his belt needs no introduction to the ancient symbol. Rumagran embodies not just death, but manifestation of collapse, be they famine, plague, or simple bad luck. Rumagran is a primal god, silent and inscrutable as death itself. He makes himself known with his passing, not by proclamation. There are innumerable stories of the god's terrifying passage through the lands of Aora. When the beast of winter stirs, bitter winds and beastly howling follow the creature's every move. Wherever the beast plants a hoof, all life withers into dust. The faithful of Remogrand insist that even another god's life can end in stillness. They claim the other gods must flee from the beast of winter's mastery over death, but we know not if this boast holds true. Though the beast of winter is shrouded in snowy clouds, those who have seen the shaggy white monster claim that the souls of the fallen can be seen clinging or perhaps frozen to the beast's fur. The dwarves of the boreal south have numerous stories that tell a similar plot. A brash hero seeks out the beast of winter to rescue the souls trapped in its fur. These tales never end well. For even if the hero saves his beloved soul, the hero dies in the process, for it is not a proper tale of Remagand unless the hero's life ends in stillness. I'll put down the kitty. So, pray to Remagand. Kneel before the shrine and prepare to recite the ritual words. All things can be reforged? No, that's Abaddon. There is life in death and death in life? Probably Bereth. Survival begins with the strength from within. Galloway. 4. Live every note of life's song. Hylia. You don't know much about Hylia yet. Struggle is our fundamental nature. Skain. I sing of the ocean's sorrow so that I may forget my own. Ondra. All life ends in stillness. That's what we're looking for. Oh shit! 8. Tomorrow my master chokes his own whip. That's Skain. 5. Struggle is our fundamental nature. I don't know who that is. Ah! Magrin! Of course it's Magrin! 8. Tomorrow my master chokes his own whip. Skain. 9. What is an answer without a question? Wail. And 10. When Wodaka takes back her throne, all wrong shall be righted. All life ends in stillness. You feel a sudden gust of cold air, as if the shrine were bursting into wintry life. The frigid wind cuts through you like a sharpened blade, and darkness encroaches upon the edges of your sight. You see a procession of elves in the distance, periodically fading into and emerging from the whiteness. They trudge over snowbanks, their heads down against the driving winds. As they trek past you, one man in bundled furs turns his head. You headed for the Noonfrost and the Frosthoon breach too? Before you can answer, he's lumbered ahead. You follow the caravan. In a couple of minutes, you come to a wall of ice. It disappears into the pale emptiness overhead and stretches as far as you can see in either direction. The elves stop in front of a mirror-smooth section that's framed like a temple door. It seems somehow thinner than the rest of the wall. You can't see what's on the other side, but a debilitating cold emanates from within. The elves pull pickaxe and shovels from their sealskin packs and begin hacking at the smooth ice, their implements flying through the air in swift, shining arcs. Though they throw their bodies into their labour, not one of them so much as scratches the polished ice, yet with each blow something bellows in the distance. Adair calls out to the elves, "Hey, you might want to hold off on that," but that howling wind seems to swallow up his voice. The elves hack away, seemingly oblivious to the furious lowing, and to the tremors under your feet. The snow has risen to your knees. You feel your legs frozen in the drifts. Try to get the elf's attention. You grab the nearest elf by her shoulder, shaking her and yelling over the howling winds. You point in the direction of the booming noise, but she only scowls. "Leave us, traveller. We've got a lot to get through. We can't stay on this side any longer." "Listen, you're angering something very big. You'd better stop." The elf strains to listen. She rests her pick in the mounting snow. Some of her fellows pause in their labours. A man with a withered frostbitten finger turns. He raises his maimed hand, and the others stop as well. They stand motionless for several seconds before you realize they've frozen entirely. You touch the elf nearest to you, and he crumbles into a mound of snow. A final gale blows past, scattering the remains of the elves in a chaotic flurry. You notice a single spiderweb crack in the smooth barrier. It's the only thing that mars the perfect surface of the ice. Okay, Luxie, I'll scroll up for a little bit. There you go. Whatever's on the other side of that strange doorway, you feel it tugging at you. Only when you look back and see the parallel gashes trailing behind your legs in the snow do you realize how strong its pull is.
My end comes to all things in time. Seal the frost-hewn breach, and instruct the pilgrims in the patience of Remergond.
Remergond. Well, I fucked up that pronunciation multiple times. Remember how I kept saying how much I love pillars? Whoopsie. A deep whisper carries from the crack. As quiet as it is, it shakes the ground beneath your feet. Plug the hole with your finger. You stick your finger into the hole and feel a stinging cold. You yank your hand back, but the finger snaps off and remains wedged in the crack. A hoary rime instantly grows over the smooth surface of the frozen doorway, fusing it with the rest of the wall. A crystal of ice grows from your frozen stub. As you examine it, the vision around you fades and the finger rises from the stump, but a shard of unmelting ice remains in your palm. Quest added. Into the White Void.
Alright then.
I just saw a hole that begged for a finger, and so I poked it. Don't blame me. In the glittering stars of the nearby constellation, you see the grim shape of a skull. Its jaws are open wide, as if frozen in a silent scream. Pray to Bereth. There is life in death, and death in life. There's a rippling shift in the air around you, as if some unfelt wind has changed, bringing you unexpected warmth. You feel a particular weight of an unseen presence and of eyes upon you. You kneel and pray to Bereth. Even while your eyes are closed, you see a road that seems to stretch on forever. The stars wheel overhead in a clockwork rotation of constellations, disappearing over the horizon to your left, only to rise on your right. You try to make out the details on either side of the road, but your eyes can't seem to focus. One moment you think you see a meadow blanketed with mist, and another sheer canyon walls. For just an instant you can see waves lapping at the edges of the road. Were you to step into the shifting landscape, you feel certain you would only end up back on the road. I love this background art as well. It is the other choice for the splash screen we use for chatting for pillars. I actually use one for pillars too, because it shows each of the gods. All of them but one. In Pillars 2, for a very appropriate reason. You know this is a vision, but the packed dirt feels firm beneath your feet and the night air cool on your face. You are walking. Your feet seem to carry you forward of their own accord. Something looms ahead of you. As you get closer, you see two stone figures that look strangely familiar. Bewin Anku and Anku Ibewin, two of the oldest representations of Bereth. I didn't do that Aloth voice right. Oh well. You remember the door to Clear Banrilag and the two figures carved into the mountain next to it. One looks vaguely male and the other vaguely female. Only a thin layer of flesh covers their skeletal bodies, which twist to face the doorway between them. The doorway, however, is not what you saw in the ruins. It's a skull, gaping and jawless, and as you look on, its open mouth seems to grow. The arms of the two stone sculptures are swept towards the mouth, inviting you in. Enter the skull's mouth. The road continues through the moor to another shifting landscape surrounded by stars. As you pass through it, you see an identical doorway in the distance. A dwarven man stands near it, unmoving. You turn and look behind you, only to see the skull gate you passed facing you. An elven woman waits in the road. Like the dwarf, she stands still. Two forms of Bereth. Bereth is clearly gender fluid. It's not explicit. It should be. This game was released many years ago, and there was much less appetite for accurately showing the world people live in. It is an American game. We're getting better, slowly. I'm going to approach the dwarven man, because we actually speak to the elven woman at the beginning of Pillars 2. You continue down the road toward him. He looks up as you approach, but you can't tell if he's looking at you or through you. His face is smooth but flaccid, as if the flesh is detached from the muscles beneath. As you look on, his face begins to change. Wrinkles crack at the corners of his eyes. His mouth sinks, carving deep lines from his nose to the corners of his lips. His jowls sag, and the loose flesh hangs like dough. He raises his cupped hands. They're covered in blood. He lifts into his face and smears himself from the newly creased forehead to the wattles of his neck. As he massages the dark, sticky fluid into his skin, the flesh wrinkles disappear. The hanging folds recede, and his flesh tightens as if re-adhering to his skull. He lifts his head, and this time you know he's looking at you. His renewed face looks like a mask, artificially smooth and still. Behind it, his black eyes are two hungry pits, yawning like the empty mouths of skulls. Come, make a sacrifice to the Ithik Knoll. His body blocks the path. He extends a bloody hand towards you. Take his hand. You grab his hand, but his skin gives too easily under your grip. As you try to pull away, you hear a noise like dried canvas tearing. His skin splits, following a large seam that begins at his arm and stretches the length of his body. Blood gushes forth in such quantities that you can't imagine there was ever anything else in him. Sure enough, as the dwarf empties of blood, he collapses like a desiccated husk. The blood in the path gleams with 1,000 souls worth of essence. The essence evaporates, trailing shining filaments into the night sky. Only now that he's dead can you continue onward. The blood pools around your feet, and you look up to see the elven woman waiting further down the road. Approach the elven woman. I know, that's hilarious. You start toward her. There's something unnatural about the way she stands. She's too still. When you get closer, you see that her legs taper into a slender trunk, and in place of her feet are gnarled, twisting roots. She lifts her face to an invisible sun. Her long golden hair is the color of autumn leaves, and as you look more closely, you realize that her head is actually covered with tendrils and vines sprouting brilliant yellow leaves. Each glimmers with the essence of an entire soul. No, we don't talk to her. Whoops, my bad. We talk to the Pallid Knight, which is a different aspect of Bareth. She gives you a beatific smile. As you look on, the leaves slowly fall from her head and settle at her roots. They melt into the path beneath her, and almost immediately new leaves sprout in the place of old. She reaches towards you, still smiling as roots spring from her fingertip. Her outstretched arms bar the path. Come, graft your soul to the golden grove. Take her hand. Her roots twine around your fingers, and as they do, they grow rigid and cold. Her outstretched arm petrifies, and as a rough stone bark overtakes her flesh, she can only look on in horror. You break away from her brittle grasp. Her feet are rooted in place, but she twists and writhes as if trying to flee her own dying limb. The petrification reaches her shoulder, and it spreads down her body, freezing it in a painful arc. It creeps up her neck, and she throws her face skyward like a drowning swimmer. The greyness covers her face, freezing her grasp in stone. Now that she is still and lifeless, you can continue past her. Only the golden leaves on her head remain untouched, and as you watch, they fall one by one to the path below. They shrivel as the shimmering essence fades from them. A voice echoes along the road, barely more than a whisper in the breeze. Return them to the wheel. You lift your gaze and see the skull gate ahead of you on the path. The candles of Tyr Everon wink through the open mouth. New quest, a servant of death. End the lives of the two figures from Bareth's vision.
Hey.
Galloway, then Hylia. We know a little of Galloway, we know very little of Hylia, so I'm teasing you. Before the shrine sits a constellation of a snarling hound, fangs bared. You kneel before the shrine and prepare to recite the ritual words. Survival begins with strength from within. The air around you stirs, and a gust of warm wind blows across the back of your neck. You catch the faintest smell of wet earth. As you kneel in front of the shrine, there's been a lot of talking. As you kneel in front of the shrine, you find yourself pushed forward. You catch yourself on your hands and knees, feeling warm, damp ground beneath them. Looking around, you find yourself crouched in a clearing in the middle of the woods. The smell of dirt hangs heavy in the air. Behind you is a darkened room filled with candlelit shrines. Ahead you hear the howl of some kind of hound. You feel this is a vision, but the hairs on the nape of your neck still rise.
Oh, the scent of sweat, fur, loam, leaves, the discordant howls. I believe Galloway's herald approaches.
Uvius breathes in deeply, his eye closed and his head dipped back as he smells the air. His eye opens, the smile settles across his face. His voice becomes equal parts excitement and dread. Howl back. The beast bays in response, its voice high and clear. The thick underground shivers with movement, and heavy paws pound the wet grass. You're not certain if the creature is hunting you or leading you, but you instinctively give chase. As you tumble through dew-speckled bushes and clawing brambles, each stride feels longer than the last. You draw lungfuls of crisp, clear air and feel your energy renewed. The rhythm of your stride and the thumping of the beast's paws drive the blood thrumming into your ears. You speed ahead, following the hound's cries, when a split-finger pine crashes to the ground in front of you. A massive bear lunges into the gap and roars. It catches sight of you. You turn and race in the opposite direction, leaping over the fallen tree trunk. Pine cones crunch underfoot. The bear lumbers after you. Its hot breath washes over the back of your neck, filling your nose with a rank odor of slaughter. You see a clearing just past a thicket of broadleaves and sprint toward it. As you break through the foliage, you see a massive lioness curled in the clearing in front of you. With a last burst of energy, you divert your momentum and hurl yourself into the bushes. Any second now, you expect to feel the bear fall upon you, but a furious roar on the other side of the clearing draws your attention. The bear has stopped at the tree line. It swipes the empty air with the claws large enough to rend armor, but it does not advance. The lioness, for her part, twists her body into a tight coil. She growls, her ears pressed against her head, but she makes no move to attack the intruder. Whose idea was it to stand here? You back deep into the foliage, keeping your eye on the two mighty predators. As you crawl backwards, the heel of your hand brushes something furred. A warm sigh grazes your cheek. You freeze in place, slowly turning your head to see what awaits behind you. Two amber eyes shine in the darkness.
Holy Hound himself! It's not just his herald, it's the Lord of the Hunt! Here!
Hervius yelps in bewilderment. The Olin drops to one knee as his hands dart about his pockets and snatch the rusted hound's head icon buried within. The eyes meet your gaze briefly and turn to the standoff in the clearing. The hound behind you yawns, fangs flashing. When you turn back, the lion and the bear have disappeared. In their place is a stone wolf's maw, gaping wide enough to swallow you whole. Beyond it is the outline of a temple, towering but indistinct. Blood must feed the maw, Watcher. See that a true champion reigns. Turn back to Tir Evron. The shrine sits before a bright constellation, its stars forming the oval shape of an egg. A pair of wings sprout from the egg, stretching out to either side. Pray to Hylia. You step before the shrine, prepare to recite the ritual words. Live every note of life's song. Your words seem to ring in the air, your voice rendered melodic and lilting by some unseen art. You shut your eyes to pray. As you wait in darkness, the world around you changes. You feel sunlight, bright and warm on your face. A light breeze carries music to your ears. As vivid as these sensations feel, you somehow know that they are not real. You look around and find yourself standing in an open-air temple built on a mountain summit. It's filled with elves and orlins and assorted other kith. Ringing the entire scene is a fringe of trees, their verdant branches filled with birds of all different colours, shapes and sizes. Everyone is singularly absorbed in a particular pursuit. An Orlin sits with a canvas, a paintbrush in his hand, and jars of blue, green, blue, and yellow pigments at his feet. An elf and Armoire standing to the side are locked in conversation, their expressions dancing with delight. Still others scribble stanzas of poetry or crude sketches on sheets of paper, losing themselves in delicate minutiae of lines and syllables. You feel the breeze again, and the two elves basking in the sunlight shiver. The largest group gathers in the middle of the temple. They sing a lush, chaotic harmony composed of several complementary melodies. Others drift towards the singers in ones and twos as if buffeted by a gust of wind or a phrase of the song. A ripple passes through the trees. You think it's the wind, but the chirping changes to screeching. Hundreds of birds take to the skies, all headed in one direction. Away. Hervius emits a series of chirping bird calls as the flock scrambles into the air. This is bad, Hervius mutters, his voice turning sour. Something has spooked them, but they won't tell me what. Then again, I think I mispronounced my bird song and probably called them incontinent. The devotees glance at the trees, just barely distracted from their activities, but the wind picks up, scattering their pages of poetry and art and ripping the songs from their lips. They look skyward and you follow their gaze. A dark shape blots out the sun. You can't tell what it is, but as it unfolds and expands, it seems to fill the sky. The wind roars over the summit. That explains the birds. Before you can flee, a shadow falls over the temple. It begins as a stain in the corner and spreads, blotting out the flagstones. It reaches the nearest kith, a black-furred Orlan. The darkness swallows her, leaving only a puff of smoke in her place. The 12s that you saw earlier, a man and a woman, flee. You get a brief image of them huddled in the shadow of a mountain. They seem to see you too, and they reach out, calling silently after you. The others, however, seem frozen. As the shadow advances, they likewise vanish, one by one. The driving gale scatters their ashes and the charred remains of their creations. The grieving mother holds her head. Songs of joy turn to screams of agony. What purpose, what lesson could possibly lie behind such destruction? Look up again at the source of the shadow, but the eclipsed sun forms a blinding corona around the thing. You can't make out any details. You can, however, feel heat. Restore my temple. You look down and find yourself standing next to Hylia's shrine in Tir Evron. Your pulse still races, and your skin is damp with sweat from your strange encounter. Addendum added. Quest added. The nest above the clouds. These are the quests that form Act 3. If we were rushing to the end of the game, we could get to it tonight. Yes, even though my friends live and my friends in the VODs, hello people in the VODs, it's good to see you tonight. We are 14 minutes away, sorry, 18 minutes away from our regular break time of 10 minutes, which is 8:30. But, like, we could do one quest and run directly over to the pit and then jump and get to Act 4 and finish the game. Exactly. I don't think we really want to. Like, I'm trying to show off Pillars, and that involves doing more, right? Do every quest, unless, of course, we come up to something that gives us such an objection to our sensibilities that we don't want to go any further with that quest, and we just stop, right? Because that's what we did with the Crucible Knights. We didn't do that quest.
Did you hear that? About our awakenings being permanent?
Sorry, Aloth. We didn't give them the ability to make, like, automated knights. We decided that would be a bad fucking idea, and we didn't want to give the fantasy cops any more power. And if we run into the same situation where we, like, start to do some of these quests, and we're like, actually, fuck that, then we just don't have to do it. Oh, there's a secret. Secret container. Starlit Garb. Exceptional. 10 defense against spells, 2 athletics, pretty good. Light armor with a low recovery speed. That's fantastic. What's it doing here? No idea. Zero quest for Skane. We did not get a quest for Skane, which is a plus. Sometimes quests for Skane are actually pretty good. They're like, this lord is a dick to his people, deal with it. And we're like, alright, we will. It's just that, like, if you need to force a divinity's attention to you, it involves a lot of sacrifice. And the way that particular cult of Skane wanted to deal with a lord involved, you know, kidnapping his daughter. It's kind of fucked up. It's bad. We don't support that action. We here at Professor Jimbles Dicebag do not recommend kidnapping people. Great Lioness has grown old, no longer has claim over the sacred lair in Galawain's Moor. I wonder what that could mean. Oh my, oh my. Jump, 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 says Hendo. It is also pretty funny. There is a secret ending to Pillars of Eternity. Fuck. Did we autosave as we walked in here? I didn't want to steal that. We did. Thank Whale for autosaves. I don't think Whale would be responsible for autosaves. Probably Berith. No, Aethys. Absolutely Aethys. Aethys. Rebirth and new attempts.
Of course.
Definitely Aethys. Shame he's dead. Spread across the lumpy pallet of straw, the hide blankets are surprisingly soft. Well, that one's not stealing. Yoink. A wreath of straw woven in with animal bones hangs from the shelf. Lovely. Few words bring fewer regrets. We live in peace, but we'll never submit to Estromorn. Yeah, like the plan, like if the Skaen cult was like, we're going to steal this guy and kill him, great idea. Love that. Excellent. Hendo. Absolutely correct. Hey, Alice got dialogue.
If those Delamgon are right, you and I are stuck with our awakenings. Not quite the news I was hoping for.
6 options. How do we feel? What are we going to say to Aloth? 1. It just means we've got to focus on finding Theos. 2. Worrying won't change anything. 3. It distresses me too. 4. I'm concerned about you. How are you taking this? And 5. This isn't fair. We're stuck with our memories and personalities from ages ago. And 6. At least one of you got some good news, right, Islamir? Three tolerable. Yeah. I think 6 is pretty funny, to be honest. Yeah, cute but mean, and, you know, that's not super fair. 2 votes for 4 so far, that's pretty good. And I mean, honestly, I think Mako agrees here. This is shitty. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but like, Aloth, this thing is bad. Aloth doesn't want this awakening. It's a terrible thing that happened to him because he was abused by his father. And there are plus sides, sure, but he doesn't want to be beholden to a different personality. The weirdest part is, as a Slam Shadows as a watcher isn't having the same sort of like, this thing is occasionally rising, this personality is so dominant that it brings itself back up to the surface. We're just tormented by visions from our past, but they're not taking over our body. Except if you were to neatly say each of these, like, reputations is different personality rising to the surface, and that's why Slam Shadows sometimes says clever things when he wants to help people. Anyway, 2 votes for 4, let's go. I'm concerned about you. How are you taking this?
Oh, the knowledge that a barely civilized bumpkin will share my mind and body for the rest of my life? That's kind of you to ask. I'd always believed that Islamir was an ailment I could cure myself of one day. But now, to think she'll be around forever.
He crosses his arms. 1. You've been awakened for decades now. Did you really think anything would change? 2. She's not that bad. 3. I can't imagine having her in my head. 4. It's time you dealt with this, Aloth. And 5. You mean how she stuck with you? 5 is more tempting than the last one. Yeah. This clever one's a little, like... Now that we've actually checked up on him, it seems nicer to make a joke out of it. Our slam poet, Slam Shadows, who currently uses a forge anvil made partially with the body of a divinity. Oh, I am tossing a ball back and forth. That's that sound. Turns out I like fidgeting with things as well. Primarily because I bet it's because I have a lot of coffee right before stream. Because we were kind first, and now he's being mean, so it's fun. Can't hear it, but did spot it before. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm tossing it back and forth. When I toss it directly in front of the camera, you can see it. It's also squishy. We only got 1 vote for 5 at the moment. We don't have anything coming up from anyone else. Do we have, like, a vote from Hendo? Bloob. Is Emma's squishy. That's correct. Generally, she takes it if she notices that I'm playing with it too much. No comment. Oh, poor Emma. Okay, 5 or 6 from Hendo. I think let's go with 5. No, 4 or 5. Let's go with 5. You mean now she's stuck with you?
You two deserve each other.
Alice shakes his head. He sighs. And on the bright side, I've got plenty of time to figure out how to deal with her. This is actually an important decision, this bit of dialogue here. 1, 2, or 3. 1. You've got to make that decision, Aleph. What do you think? 2. Your whole life you've been taking orders. If you can't assert your authority over her, you'll never have it anywhere else. Or 3. Like it or not, she's part of you. She could be a source of strength if you learn to work with her. 1 or 3. Larksy. You're being very larksy. And I vote from 3 for Hendo. I like that. I say not strictly trying to make the decision for you, but still. I like pointing out whenever you make multiple votes, because I think it's pretty funny. And I do not wish it to change, but I also do wish to, like, tell you that. That's true. And I agree, Hendo. 3 isn't forcing him either. It's just putting it on the table. You're like saying, dude, you should consider it. You could work with her. She comes out in combat all the time. Remember? It's not Aleph that's yelling, it's not Aleph that is yelling, this one's in for a walloping! Let's go with 3. 2 votes for it, let's do it.
It's strange. I've lived with her most of my life, and I've always seen her as an adversary. It should have occurred to me the day she stood up to my father. But there's something about being too close to a situation to see it clearly. It will be a relief to stop fighting her.
He's quiet for several seconds. Finally he nods. He smiles. Even as he says it, something struggles within him. The muscles in his face twitch and his skin shivers. His eyes roll back in his skull, exposing slivers of white. Sweat beads and glistens on his forehead. After several seconds, he sighs and looks back at you. That wasn't as difficult as I expected. I think deep down I'd always hoped to find a solution elsewhere. When I was a child, I always thought my mother would come home with a mysterious cure, or that my father, without knowing it, would somehow send her away just as he'd called her forth. I can't pretend that I didn't spend years of my arcane training hoping that one of my instructors would have the answer somewhere in his grimoire. When I joined the Leaden Key, I hoped and believed that with enough loyal service I'd gain the ear of someone in the organization who could help me. Even when I met you and realized your unique talents, I hoped that you might be able to reach into my soul the way you do with so many others. I've been looking for someone else to solve my problem, and now I realize that I've got to face it on my own. 1. That's how it's supposed to be. You search for answers elsewhere and then find them in yourself. And 2. Most people don't need that kind of guidance. You don't. And 3. I've been with you the whole way. I still am. And 4, you haven't been on your own. I got you through Brackenberry, remember? Fair enough, Maker. You've had several compliments, especially when we were talking through the divinities as well. But you may have missed me saying that if we come to a divinity quest and we're like, no, fuck this quest, we won't do it. Oh, 3 votes for 3. I've been with you the whole way. I still am. Let's do it.
That means a great deal to me. Truly.
He smiles. Kiss him!
That reminds me of something else the Delangon said. About the gods not being real.
A cautious, thoughtful look crosses his face. He says it quietly, as if afraid that someone might overhear him. Shame we're, like, here, clearly in someone else's, like, entryway, instead of all the way back at Cadnor and safe. Oh well. 1. I don't know what they meant. 2. They did tell us to pray to the gods, so that can't be entirely true. And 3. I expect we'll figure out what that means eventually. And 4. Don't tell me you're getting your panties in a knot about something new. Just a little bit of time, friends. We only got 1 vote for 2 from Larksy here. I would say they did tell us to pray to the gods, so that can't be entirely true. But what do they mean? Da, da. Well, 2 hits for 2. Let's do it.
Yes, I suppose so. Still, I can't help but worry at the state we'd be in if that was somehow true. If there were no power guiding us in this life and shepherding us to the next.
Oh, hey, Indigo. Nice to see you, Indigo Decay. Too cool for school. Yeah, but poor Aloth. He needs help. Might not be unkillable, though. Well, I mean, Aethys got blown up. We know this. It was one of the first things we learned about the setting. One divinity misbehaved so badly he got blown up by a magical nuke. Professor Jimbles' dice bag does not encourage the use of technical nukes. 2 again. Alright, well, let's read them out. So 1, I don't think about it. 2, I'm sure we'll just find a way on our own. 3, let's just hope that's not the case. And 4, that Nilsmere would just be a happy accident and you'd have no one to blame for her. Couple votes for 2, that's pretty good. We'll click 2 in just a minute unless we have a few people who yell out, no, something else. Love 4 would probably make him mad. Yeah, but now that we've also very kindly, said a beautiful... Where it is. I've been with you the whole way. I still am. I mean, he can't get that mad with us now. And he's used to Slime Shadows saying slightly mean but very funny things. I love 4 too. I have no one to blame for him, man. Does Aloth want to blame someone, though? Alright. Didn't have a cavalcade of votes, so we're going to go with 2. I'm sure we'll just find our way on our own.
I hope you're right.
We should get moving. Good job, Aloth. And that's what I pierced the giant Selgar with my spear, right through his heart. Remember how last time, perhaps not, perhaps 2, we did, we learned a bit more story about this Arthwin guy? A lanky hunter grooms his stubble, a patched fuzz of blonde hairs, while listening attentively to a young elven woman. She whispers in his reddened ears and giggles. With his head still lowered, he flashes a wide smile in return. The hunter notices you. He clears his throat and straightens his back, adopting an air of dignity. I've been expecting you. My tribesmen have told me that you're to speak the truth about Fium's exile. He combs his sparse stubble, darting a glance to the elven woman. Well, Arthwin doesn't hide from the truth. Ask, and I'll answer. What happened to Fium? Arthwin looks down and licks his lip. He licks his lips. Fium... He pushes the blonde bristles away from the edges of his mouth. Every tribe knows his prowess. A hunter of great name, but this time he fell behind. We spotted the giant Stelgar on Sentinel's Ridge above the waterfalls in Northweald. It was stalking for prey. Arthwin lightly shakes his head. Fium wanted us to split. He'd lure the beast to the river and I'd flank it. The hunter scratches his flushed earlobe. But the beast didn't come down to the riverbank, so we tried to circle it on the ridge. I climbed faster, and there it was, ready to pounce on me. Arthwin thrust his fist forward. I pierced flesh, mid-air, rolled over, and stabbed at it again and again. And it was dead. The hunter pushes his mustache back and looks up. Fium couldn't believe he didn't earn the kill, not even a cut. He said he'd not return with the shame of losing to a twice-split arrow. Arthwin sighs. I pleaded, but he was the keeper of the stone. He'd not listen, and now he's exiled. Who knows where? Really? Well, tell me about your tribe then, buddy. We're young, the youngest tribe in Glenfarth. Arthwin hesitates for a moment, scratching his beard, and spreads his long legs apart. But we're not weak. The other tribes have their history, and now we, the twice-split arrows, are making our own. Arthwin puffs his chest and pounds it with a fist. We're true Glenfarthans, true hunters. I've proven our worth. These patches of golden stubble sparkle alongside a glowing smile. It was me, not Fium, who killed the giant Stelgar. Goodbye. Hunter, brother, addendum added. Look at all these cute Stelgar just wandering around. Later, you can show us how you used your big spear. Ooh. Oh, yes, I can do that. Well, on that note, let's pause. At 8:30, we pause for a 10-minute break, where Jimbles is going to have a breather, rest his voice for a few minutes, and then make a drink. I'll be back to show you that drink in 10 minutes. We'll see you at 8:30, at 8:40. Now go stretch. And it back. And because the sound has gotten all weird with OBS's update, you get to hear my voice in break time. And likely a terrible fucking echo in the chatting. Hilarious. Hilarious. That will probably take a bunch of messing about to see if we can fix that. Okay, today's drink. Thanks, beloved. I'm making a lot of orange drinks, a yellowish color, because I just like pineapple juice. We're moving into spring. We're allowed to have pineapple juice back. Fun glass. My friend Gollum King gave me this glass as a Christmas present last year. Very lovely. And ever since I got it and started telling everyone how much I like it, I've been getting ads for more of them on Facebook. Huzzah! I don't believe phones are listening to you, but sometimes I do. This is, of course, garnished with a wedge of lemon because I still have lemon wedges from Wednesday night. But it is 90 mils of pineapple juice. It's non-alcoholic too. And a nice circular mold of ice, which I broke because I threw it at the cat as he was clawing the couch. I thought I was holding a lemon. I was holding the plastic mold for my ice and threw it at the cat and it shattered. Which is funny. I mean, the cat didn't deserve it in any way. But he did stop clawing the couch temporarily. It's okay. I have 3 more of the mold, so it'll be fine. So drink ingredients from the top is wedge lemon and ice plus 90 mils of pineapple juice topped up with some soda water and about 3 dashes, so I'd say 5 to 10 mil, could use a little more, of a strawberry gum syrup that is very good. Very sweet, very tasty. It does taste like a little bit eucalyptus-y, but primarily strawberry and sweet. Great edge to it. More hair. Great edge to this drink and really rounds out and smooths out the pineapple tartness. But now that we're back, let's continue our adventure in Pillars. He's a good cat. Not actually that terrified. It's funny though, to be honest. Yeah, not always alcoholic drink every time because I shouldn't drink that much. And I had a few last night at a party. No. Alice. Nearly had Alice steal from there again. This table is scarred and stained from years of use. The hearth still smells of freshly cooked game. Grease splatters the blackened bricks. There's beautiful fire effects too. Those rising embers. Warrior S is a little weird, right? Simon has led the 3-tusk Stalgar for as long as any of the Adam Father. Locked and stealing, more stealing. The crates contain a few necessities of a Glenfartham travelling party. Furs and blankets, sturdy hide clothing, and gifts of carved Adra. Stalgar Simok. Though simple and unadorned, the blades are made of sharp and finely tempered steel. Come to treat with the 3-tusk Stalgar? Yeah, but I don't know why.
Tread carefully, Estermore.
A grizzled old elf, his hair braided and dyed, stands at one end of the hall. His arms and chest are crosshatched with the pale seams of scars. His crooked smile looks like another. There's not many Estermorn who are permitted into a sacred city. Breathwell must be feeling especially soft today. Alright, well this guy is probably another Adam Father. Adair pays no attention to the elf, and instead has locked eyes with the Stalgar in front of him. He whispers to you. Do you think you'd mind if I pet his Stalgar? So, where I'm from, petting a Stalgar doesn't mean what you think it means. Come to hear your future at Everon? No. Come to hear your future at Everon? His smile widens, exposing a row of yellow, crooked teeth. Or make your own at Blood Sands. What's Blood Sands? An ancient place of sacrifice. He laces his fingers together. In a cave by the great Elms themselves. Restin and his druids have been an integral part of Glenfarthen's society for generations, no matter what some of the other tribes might say. Glenfarth has held its own against the Estramorn because some of us still understand the power of sacrifice. Benevolent too. It gives you an appraising eye. Does the thought make you uncomfortable? It should, because that's what's kept our society alive for so long. Oh, so he's a jerk. Seamark crosses his arms over his scarred chest. Something else? You don't seem fond of us, Estramorn. His hunched shoulders straighten. I fought in the Brokenstone War and the War of Black Trees. I saw my brethren cut down defending the places of the builders, and I shed blood alongside Galavan Red himself. He coughs. Now the Estramorn seem to think they will find a cure for their empty children among our sacred sites. Or worse, they will find sanctuary in our lands. His gaze darkens, and I've seen what happens when they set their sights on Glenfarthen's soil. From what we've seen, those sacred sites might actually have a cure. They protect those sites because someone told them to. You wish just once out of the courage to question it. I dare. I don't know about that, man. An army bursts out of the cake like clowns. Have pity, they're only trying to save their children. And when the Estramorn invade us in force and bring their plague here, what of our children? In my 250 years, I've led my people through 2 wars. Our borders have remained intact, largely through the reputation of Three-Tusked Stalgar. His voice drops to a growl. I've sired a dozen children, but none have been deemed fit to take my place. I care nothing for the legacies that obsess the Estramorn lords, but it is important that my successor continue this path. Is your role hereditary? None entirely. We believe the souls of our ancestors come back to us, that a strong soul may bear many more, but all souls must be tested by our elders. The Real looked first among my children for a successor, but their souls were weak. Ordinarily they would turn to others in my tribe, to clan heads and their families. Ordinarily. He levels his gaze. We share a tradition of fostering the children of other tribes, and the Anamfather the Fisher Crane has trusted his youngest to my care. He grimaces. And as none of my own blood are fit to take my place, the Rhea will look next to this bog child, the kin of another Anamfath, my foster daughter, to take my place. You should be so lucky, Herve's chaps. His young Fisher Crane lass is a great gift. You should be thankful. Herve's voice becomes a low whisper, especially given in your familial feebleness. Anamfath was the word. Well, I'm glad we got it, Loxley. Couldn't you just send it back to her family? He shakes his head slowly. That would be a grave insult to the Fisher Crane. Repercussions with the other Anamfather would be severe. I have no doubt that she would make a fine leader, but not among Three-Tusked Stalgar. The Orlans of Fisher Crane have lived in Thane Bog for 1,000 years. They are cunning and furtive by nature, which serves them well when they have swamplands to hide their movements. He crosses his arms. But this will not deter the Estramorn on open ground. I wouldn't be so sure. There's greater fear in the unseen enemy. He points at the warriors gathered by the fire. Our savagery has deterred the Estramorn from further encroachment. They still tell of our deeds in the Brokenstone War, but if a child of the Fisher Crane leads our tribe, we will lose that boldness, and the Estramorn will lose their fear of us. The child will be influenced by the souls of her ancestors. In times of crisis, she will look to her kin in the Thane Bog for guidance. No matter what I might try to teach her, it will not be enough. Aggressive too. This is what happens when you have a reputation system that can be built on by doing side quests. When someone does all of the side quests, it's entirely possible we have a reputation for both benevolent and he thinks we're weak and soft, and aggressive and he thinks we're tough. There's a way you could help. Few have the stomach for it, but I think it would suit some of your inclinations. Go on. This all-in girl is the soul of a leader. If it were passed to one of my own offspring, our tribe would remain strong. The Stalgar at Sivok's side scratches its massive head on the Anamfath's leg. He remains steady on his feet. The Druids of Blood Sands have a way to do this. I understand the importance of strong line of succession for Three-Tusked Stalgar. So many empty children. empty families, and he would steal this child's essence for ambition? Let his ways die. Let his line end, if this is what it means. He gives you a key. There's a house in southeast Earthsong, next to the river. A child will be asleep, and I've arranged for her to be unattended for a time. His voice becomes a quiet rumble. Take her and bring her to Keeper Wordher in Blood Sands. She knows what must be done. When she presents you with the liquid essence, bring it back to me. Hey, chat. What? Would you like to steal a young girl's soul from a different tribe? Does that sound like fun? Something we're into doing? Can you gather info and dorm in somewhere? You can agree to do the quest and not go through with his plan. Not spoilers, but a funny quirk. You can collect the child, go into Sun and Shadow, and there's a special and finish the game, and there's a special dialogue slide that's like, for some reason you took a child into Sun and Shadow, and then when you save. When you make your end of game save and load it into Pillars of Eternity 2, there's a child in Pillars of Eternity 2, and it's the baby you stole here. Exactly. And that's kind of a reference to Baldur's Gate 2, where you can get a baby and carry it through to like the end of Baldur's Gate 2, like a throne of Baal. Kill the other Baal spawn, ascend to a new divinity, all the while you have a baby in your inventory, and it's never brought up. And so in Pillars, it's a spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate, and made by several of the same people. They wanted to just have a moment where it's like, also, why did you keep the baby? I like that. I also like that they didn't treat it as such a throwaway, weird decision that they just didn't include it in Pillars 2. They grabbed the flag that's like, do you have the child? If yes, make it appear in Pillars 2. I've never done it, personally. Just because I still think it's a little weird to steal a baby. By all of the pets. Adair is treating it like a pet too. Anyway, we've we got one vote for two, 2 votes for 2, because there's 2 or 7. I mean, 7's pretty good too. And 1, I don't like this from Emma, which is good. 2 or 7, slightly more 7. I mean, that's pretty good too. It would be very funny, because I think, like, if we threaten him, he turns on us, and then we get to slaughter literally everyone in this room. I'm going to get more information and ask 3 and 5, and then we'll choose. What will Keeper Wordher do with the child? The scarred face twists again. Have you seen the rituals of Blood Sands? She will sacrifice her, so only way to steal her essence. Kirvir stares at Simok wide-eyed. What a loathsome wretch, even by 3 Tusk standards. How about I pummel this unhinged old man until I'm picking bits of his bones, brain, and essence out of my fur? The Orlan child? Go on. How can you possibly expect to get away with this? If you know the girl is here, one Orlan babe will look much the same as the next. He shrugs. Well, let me worry about this. I don't see how you need me to do this, because I cannot do it without attracting undue attention, he frowns. I don't relish passing my own burdens onto another, but this will incite war between our tribes if I am caught. 6. Tell me about the potion that you need from Wordher. Essence. Bound and distilled into a liquid. It'll have little immediate effect on me, but will weave a stronger soul in my future issue. This is horrific, isn't it? This is fucked up. Steal a baby, kill it, distill its essence, grab the essence, drink it, so you have the big cummies next time. That's terrible. Also, fucking great that they included such an awful quest. Exactly, Larksy. So, it looks like we're poking between 2 and 7. I'm going to read out our options again. 1, very well, I'll help you. 2, I won't do this. 7, remind me where I can find the child. And 8, I should kill you for this. So it looks like it's now 8. I wanted to cat him out here. Even if you voted before, please say your preference in chat now so we can decide what we're doing with this person. Excellent, Emma. Yeah, mess him up. Well, I'd love to see what happens. I think it would be very funny if he decides to kill us. And then we deal with that problem. Ooh, 2 votes for 8. This is really tasty. Very tasty indeed. Many votes for 8. Let's do it. Better not be a fake out. Oh, I don't know. Let's see what happens. I should kill you for this. Stay like guys at his side growl. Surrounded by my best warriors? That would be unwise. I think we're still voting for 8. Are we not? I'm going to give you 10 seconds on the clock to yell out, no, seriously, don't attack. Your dynasty ends now. New quest, Sacrificial Bloodlines. Quest updated, quest updated. Rusty key added to the stash. Alright, well, it is 1 hour and 57 minutes into the stream. This is the first combat. Congrats, everybody. I'm very pleased with you. Aloth, tentacles, please.
Quick.
Slam, use your cool hammer. Oh. Slam, crit, activates power, and kills. Very funny. Good lord, my man. Good lord. Let's cast Sever the Soul. Targets the very essence of a creature with their next attack, bypassing the target's defenses and leaving them weakened. I think we'll just do that to prove a point, shall we? Quest completed. Sacrificial Bloodlines. We need to use Shadow Step to get behind these targets.
Yeah?
Which didn't work. Oh well. We're just holding this doorway. Do we get to explain this to anyone? I don't know. Is anyone going to ask how we wiped out the leader of one of the 6 tribes? Maybe. Ooh, fine gear. Very nice indeed. Yep. Thigh clef, large shield. Exceptional. Safeguarding. Pretty cool. Nothing else particularly unique though. Hey, well there is one plus side. We can now steal things without getting caught. What happened to that tribe? What happened to the Derminals? Yeah, well, here's the thing. When we do find a group of jerks that are... Lyris looks you in the eye and gives you a slow nod. I don't know who you are. I don't know why you approve of this action. But presumably you knew what was going to happen and you're very pleased with how it turned out. Well, and we can still talk to them, so let's find out.
If you say so.
After we finish stealing. Hi! Virtue guides your hand, Karad. What? Okay. Whoops. That's it. Maybe we'll find out more.
As
figured I was too stupid and impatient to learn magic. How about you, Aloth? When you were a kid, did you dream that you'd live a life of arcane practice?
It was never my decision, but I've come to appreciate that it was made.
You speak like a fisher crane, quick and clever. You also fight like a three-tusked snail guard. Also, have fun working out your succession crisis. We've made it infinitely harder. Look at all these side quests. But also, sacrificial bloodlines. Simic admitted that ritual involved sacrificing a child. After hearing his proposal that I sacrifice his adopted daughter, I killed him in the Hall of Warriors. This old Animpath had lived past his time. Hey, Maddox. Nice to see you tonight. Hope you're doing well. We made it worse or better. There's some things you can't really justify. One of them is, we're going to steal a baby, my adopted baby, and then kill them for power. That's a shitty thing to do no matter your culture, I'd say. Whoopsie. Fun, though. Blood Sands. The Ethic Knoll welcomes your presence, supplicants. A dwarven man stands motionless near a roaring fire that lights the cavern. Your sacrifice feeds the land, supplicants. Come forth. A gust of smoke curls around him, licking the charred flesh that bulges on his forearms. They suddenly flex. Extra more. The dwarf holds his fists in a tight grip. Your kin doesn't come here to share with the tribes. What do you want? What's this place? Blood Sands. The dwarf picks on his scarred forearm. His guttural sigh mingles with the cracking of wood and bones behind him. As I said, Estremorn rarely visit our halls. The Gunfathers called this place Blood Sands. We call it home. The Ethic Knoll have tended the land from within this cave since before the arrival of the tribes to Twin Elms. Garrus crosses his arms. Be warned, Estremor, we bleed life to nurture it. The sacrifices may strike you as savage, but the health of these lands depends on them, and it's unseemly for guests to insult their hosts. Well, tell me about the Ethic Knoll. Our order has thrived for generations. Before we came to Twin Elms, our rights fed the lands of the Eastern Mountains. Now we share blood. We share blood for Ear Glenfarth. Garrus opens his palms. Strikes of red run through them like flames. To everything that must end, our sacrifices bring a new beginning. He looks up. We sustain what's to come. Tell me about these sacrifices. Garrus spreads his stocky legs apart and locks his forearms. Everything must die to return anew, Estremor. Through the sacrificial rites, we offer supplicants the honor of giving their most precious gift back to their brethren, back to the land. The dwarf lifts his fist, thick and mottled by red scars. The blood gives us strength. Even the Glenfathers have come to depend on the blood paint. They brim with power before battle, all thanks to the sacrifices of their kin. Goodbye. Remember, Estremor, you're a guest in these halls. Respect our ways and we'll tolerate your presence among us. Okay, well if your babies are okay, we'll live. Essence taken by force may sustain one, but essence given freely empowers many. Smoke curls up from these charred skeletons. The smell is nauseating. Tell it. There's no greater honor than dying for one's tribe. If some fall in battle, how is this different? What is there to dislike, Larksy? It's only ritual bloodletting for power. Keep it word her. Hey, I got a couple of questions to ask you about, like,
Many
baby
blessings,
sacrifice.
traveler.
The elderly dwarf blinks at you, not quite looking at you. Her eyes pale and clouded with cataracts. Welcome to the Blood Sands. It is rare that an Estremor sets foot in these caverns. Her sightless eyes fix on you as she tilts her head. What brings you here, I wonder? What do you do here? I sell and maintain certain goods for the preservation of our order, and I perform some of our ritual sacrifices. Something more? How do these sacrifices work? Like any worthwhile ritual, it's too complex to explain in detail. It involves the clotting of the supplicant's essence, binding it to their life's blood, and drawing it into a container or vessel. Tell me about the Blood Sands. This is the raw, bloody heart of Ear Glenfarth, where some come to give their essence back to their people. Her dry lips bend into a sardonic grin, where others seek a noble escape from their trials. A legacy the builders to the tribes is not merely adra and stone, but a sense of community, and it is here that the Glenfarthans come to sacrifice what is most precious, even their own lives, to preserve it. I'd like to see what you have for sale. Flask of War Paint. Speed, instant, use in battle, extra accuracy, damage, and maximum endurance. Just bam. You can have 10% damage for 20 seconds if you use this. I don't want to buy anything from it. Alright, well, we won't do that. She sells potions, essentially. Potions you can use in combat for a small boost. What a great, interesting NPC. Earthblade, eh? What an interesting NPC to have. Just floating around when you need extra information. Like a salesperson, right? That could be done by opening up the book, looking at the potions and saying, hey GM, I want to buy this. But instead we learn about how these potions are made. The bravest sons and daughters fall not by the swords of their Estremorn, but by the daggers of their brethren. Greatness requires sacrifice. Silent Chanter eyes you steadily. Silent Chanter? Chanter says nothing. We don't do that. Slam Shadows never shuts up. He's a Chanter, that's kind of his thing.
You gotta see this.
Hidden object. Broke. A trap. Stealing. More traps.
Quietly.
Good lord. Okay.
How may I help?
Aloth, go stand out here. Press the button again. To lock... Ah, damn it. Alright. Alright. Devil, be stealthed.
Got it done.
Unlock. Steal this. Bonus melee damage from wounds. Excellent. Only useful for our friend Zahua.
That'll do.
Of deflection 9 and more war paint. Cool, we'll just take these.
Hey.
Nothing bad will happen. Huh, cool. No.
Hey.
I'm great at nearly stealing from people in cities. Oh, this is going to be bad. Turn away, content
Your
warning,
blood
sacrifice,
flows,
okay?
So shall your essence.
Knife.
Your life's energy shall feed the soil, and your soul's energy shall enrich the community. This is by your own choosing, supplicant?
Yeah, big content warning, sacrifice, physical, bodily wounds, knife. You know, important stuff. We do have a content warning at the beginning of the stream, but it is also worth saying, like, this is not going to be pleasant. Final Fantasy on Wednesday nights, starting at the same time as Pillars, but on Wednesday nights, is much cheerier, even if many people die. It's just worth saying. So it is totally fine to go, I'm not up for Pillars, it's an incredibly dark setting with an incredibly dark story, and it doesn't feel like we get a lot of solutions by the end of it. And in Final Fantasy, especially 1, good things happen. Turns out okay. A dwarven man stands on a raised platform. Beneath him an elf lies prone on a stone table. As you get closer you hear the dwarf speak in a gravelly monotone. Yes. The elf's voice is high but even. The dwarf grips a hatchet with both hands and raises it over his head. He throws his shoulders forward and swings a weapon into the elf's chest, connecting with a meaty thump. Blood gushes around the blade, and sacrifice's screams rend the air. Aloth's lips curl with disgust. This is why I prefer the wand to the blade. Despite his early agreement, the elf thrashes atop the stone table, his torso arching, while his arms and legs remain tied in place. Meanwhile, the dwarf spreads his arms wide and allows blood to splatter his robes. When the elf is finally silent and still, the dwarf pulls his hatchet from the body and wipes it on his hem. Streaks of red-brown blood and globs of tissue have worked themselves into the minute grooves of the stone. A dwarf wears crimson robes that are stained and streaked with dark patches. His face is smooth but lacking youthful elasticity. It's as if the lines and wrinkles have been formed and erased many times over. He watches you with eyes like 2 black pits as he wipes his hatchet on his robes. Hail, Estremorn.
No one comes to Blood Sands without a purpose. What is yours?
Everyone, please notice dialogue option number 1. And let's move on. Who are you?
I am the Archdruid of the Ethic Null. For centuries it has been my duty to guide our rituals and guard our knowledge. It is work that requires a certain resilience. but it is not without its benefits.
His black eyes glitter. Reston's eerily smooth face is motionless as he watches you. You murdered a man right here. Benevolent too. He lowers his head. Your simplistic morals do not apply here, Reston Moore. Murder does not enter into it.
It was a sacrifice, and one willingly entered into. The survival of all things depends on balance. Give and take.
Smooth skin at the corners of his mouth and eyes wrinkles for one brief instant. His principle lies at the heart of all power. Expending something of value releases energy. Energy that can be channeled by those who know how. He tilts his head towards you. All kith, whether or not they care to admit it, practice this. We take the yield of the land and the flesh of beasts to live, and we give our blood and sweat to propagate the things we desire. Good to see you, Digga. Thank you very much for dropping by. You can always catch our VODs as well if you're up for watching something in the background. There are many episodes of them because Pillars is a very big game, but they are all as hilarious and fun and horny. We'll see you again. So, chat, we actually have to vote on this one because we're making a decision, right? 1. According to Birth, you haven't done much giving, Reston. 2. I can see what you mean. And 3. That sounds brutal. And 4. Attack. I won't let you continue these vile sacrifices. Passionate, aggressive. 2 reputation gains if we choose 4. Oh my god. It's up for you to say. What are we doing? I don't think I have any particularly more questions. I think we learned as much as we really need to right now. It would be fine to say, I'm going to just tell you. Alright? 3 then 4? I'm ranked choices, because I'm pretty sure if we say 3, we won't be able to do 4. But as a ranked choice, very good. Loxy, got any thoughts? 1 may include killing this guy anyway? It depends. Like, what if he, a servant of Bereth, is like, alright then, I guess I'll just die then. And he just goes, there, and falls apart. That's pretty cool, that could happen. I think that's pretty reasonable, isn't it? Cool. I thought we could do 4 after 3. Maybe. Like, it's entirely possible that that sounds brutal is our decision. You know? And we can't get back to this dialogue choice. I do not remember, nor can I infer it perfectly enough to determine. 1 is kind of slammy. I do like that a lot. According to Barrett, you haven't done much giving, Reston. And he goes, oh shit! Or he could also go, you don't talk to Bereth, and then we get a nothing dialogue choice and we need to make another one. Also entirely possible. Sadly, we do need to know what you'd like to choose. How vicious are we going to be? Oh, votes for 1 from Loxy. I do like that indeed. And a 1 from Hendo. Well, you have generally 3 people voting. Let's go with number 1, not 4 first. Okay. Well, according to Bereth, you haven't done much giving, Reston. Reston grunts, and he can descend from his mighty pantheon and tell me himself. Okay. So like I said, he could just go, like you talked to Bereth, I don't give a shit. And that is essentially what he just said, right? So we have 1, actually that's why I'm here, and 2, forget it. I think it's very funny. Now, much like how he dealt with the 3 Tusk Stelgar, if we attack, we'll have to kill everyone in here. I don't have a massive problem with that. I don't super like that Slam has turned up to another culture and is like, well, I need to kill at least 2 large factions here. But also, they're doing a lot of killing. 3 votes for 1, let's do it. Actually, that's why I'm here.
Since when do the gods send mortals to collect? You're much too talkative to be the usher. This is the trouble with deities. They meddle in a world that they don't even inhabit. I hope they've promised you something better for your next life.
Look at them all. Both changes chant the same phrase, and that's mechanically not the greatest decision. Aloth tentacles, please.
Die!
Drop a healing circle right on us. Hilariously, they're all nearly dealt with already.
Aye?
Let's have it out!
Bonk. Good job, Aloth.
Hey.
Bludgeoning away to endgame. Yeah, the story stays on track. Like some games, the story at the end of the game just falls apart. Ooh, Purgatory, unique saber. Which is strictly better than Steadfast, the one Adair was using. Which is great, because I'd like to give him... wait, no, he's not using that. Yeah, Soulbound Sword. Yeah, he still needs to get more crits. Okay, well, you can keep Steadfast, my dude.
Hey.
It'll get better. Okay, so as I was saying, a lot of games, the story kind of falls off the rails at the end of the game. That's just how it happens. But here, the story is getting like better and tighter and more obvious, and that's good. But
Aye?
the plot is getting a little bit weirder. Sorry, not the plot. Like, what we're doing here gets a little bit weirder. We turn up and now we just stab people to death. We've had 2 quests that we can resolve by killing, and so far we did a lot of things where we didn't just run up and kill the enemies. You've lost reputation with Ethic Knoll, Major. Well, no shit, dude. They're gonna hate us nearly as much as the Dominals. The who? Sorry. The Dominals? Who were they? Essence within to nurture flesh, and essence without to strengthen it. The heat emanating from this pool threatens to singe the flesh of your face.
How may I help?
Aloth, I want to check your staff, because I think you're getting close. 21 or 25 to the next level. Yeah, we'll continue trying to get you to beat up things.
Hey.
There are also enough blights that we could, like, force him to beat them up. Damn it.
You're not getting through me.
Bright? What do you mean, Lexi?
All right, then.
If you say so.
I shall be discreet.
If you say.
Might as well
If you
loot
say
everything
so.
in here. We're dealing with this.
Love.
Oh, yeah. All knocked down. That's so good. Everyone go over here, turn the AI off. I'm going back to doing a very silly thing. I'm gonna see if Aloth can finish upgrading his stuff. We'll be okay. Don't even worry about it. We're playing at a very low difficulty right now, too. Just drop a healing circle on Aloth and stand there. Good thing he's wearing a very light armor so he can swing the staff a lot.
These ones are in for a walloping!
These ones are headed for a walloping. Come on, you can get him. Okay. Did it happen yet? There you go. There it is. We just triggered. Now it's kill 5 animats or 25 enemies again. We're probably going to have to do it again, but now 5% chance to cast Calling the World's Maw. And he can cast Beetle Shell and Nature's Mark has extra damage. Honestly, this goes even better on Druid or Monk, you know? But I like giving Aloth shiny things. He's our friend.
Alright then.
Just because he doesn't wallop things that often as often as he yells. The blood of sacrifice waters the soil of Air Glanvath. Do you think when we leave this place there's going to be another, like, mysterious ghost thing that tells us we're great? Maybe? That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, we agree with the decisions you've made. Everything was very normal. I don't know who Naka is, but we'll figure it out. Get him. There's that walloping we talked about.
I shall deal with this one.
Slime Shadows killed that keeper somehow. Oh, that looks dangerous. Shiny, shiny, bright, bright. Slime Shadows killed that keeper as well. Again, somehow.
Indeed.
It's probably come the soft winds of death.
Love.
Got him.
Okay, I'm kind of giving up on the idea of we must all maximize the
That's it.
Aloth's weapon. This seems like a boring grind. Let's not bother. But we will give you a walloping or two once in a while because it's fun. Good job, Aleph. Right, well, that's half of Beroth's quest, right? An Dwarven man and an Elven woman. Place called Golden Grove. It's also kind of nice to know, like, explicitly that you can... The quest, it's not like we're just attacking this random group and they all die and the game's like, okay, good job, we'll work around that. You've killed an NPC.
What did you say?
Nothing.
That's what I like about you.
Beg your pardon?
You don't talk much.
Instead, we've gone to this place and we're following the main quest as well at some point, and it's like that leads to you killing everyone in here, so it's not... It doesn't feel like we're just causing trouble for the sake of it, which is good. So, is Will earned to my trust? Why do you continue to support Arona? The High Ovate has tended to the grove for centuries, and how banned is it to journey away from Twin Elms much too often? We learn the hidden truths from Wethra, not the gods. Bled her.
Estremor.
The elf holds a chipped wooden pipe. The sweet smoke wafting from the bowl makes you dizzy. Welcome, Estremor. I've got herbs and potions for sale. Looking for something to ease your travels? Or something to make them more interesting? She grins. You see her teeth and gums are stained brown. Whiteleaf. Nice way to spend an afternoon. And the following night, and most of the next day. I hear that you can make certain poisons. She takes a deep draw on her pipe. Poisons? I only deal in tonics that heal and enlighten. She exhales a puff of smoke. Of course, many beneficial substances can be harmful when taken in great quantities, but that's just Werther's way of keeping all things in balance. Really? What kind of substances? She leans against a winding tree and ticks the items off on her fingers. Oh, there's plenty. Concentrating carogolin, undistilled spider venom, rotten blood moss extract, cave coral mixed with skein bone. I don't know why I need these. I honestly don't know why I started this line of inquiry other than my natural curiosity. So tell me about carogolin. She stops counting and scratches her head. What do you want with something like that? My friend Stelgar is dying and he wants to ease a creature's passing. Why is there a never mind option? I agree, Larksy. I just thought I'd experiment with it and see what happens. Let's go. Friend Stelgar is dying and wants to ease the creature's passing. She frowns, her teeth clamped around the pipe. poor thing. Here, take this. She gives you a vial filled with the dark fluid. It works slowly, but this will send him back to the cycle kindly enough. Just see that it doesn't get misplaced. Half that dose would kill an armor. She taps ash from her pipe into the grass. Was there anything else I could do for you? I'd like to see your stocks. More potions. These ones not made from killing people. Tiny Spaulding? Pet? Done and done. Have some traps. There you go. Tiny Spaulding. Now, you've been a very lovely orange tabby cat that we stole. You can stay right here. Right here with Aloth. He'll look after you. Tiny Spaulding. Despite its off-putting toothy maw and dead eyes, the little Spaulding is oddly affectionate for a fungal mass and waddles after you with unexpected speed. Tiny Spaulding! Look at that little guy. Oh, he makes the Spaulding noise. Amazing. Amazing. Golden leaves flash and shine as they fall from the trees.
Hail, Estremor.
Though his eyes are focused and his posture still, the man before you keeps his head aimed at you as if carefully following your movements. Hail to you. May your time in the Golden Grove be enriching. And hail to you, Autumn Orlin, the man says with a bow to Heravius. Heravius' eye widens in surprise and his one good ear stands on end. How on Aora did you... The man's eyes remain closed and says with a smile, Tranquility begets a receptive mind. He opens his eyes, revealing brown irises clouded with the beginnings of cataracts. With my eyes open, I see a birth form. But when I look inward, and with this he closes his eyes again, I see the Autumn Stalgar. My friend is looking for more information about his spirit form. Tell us more. Tamarin smiles. His eyes remain closed. I know the beast is often sent by Galawain as a sort of trial. Many Anamfatha are tested by the Autumn Stalgar. Those bested and consumed by the beast have their soul torn from their bodies and lost for all time. So, my tribesmen are right. Heravius looks crestfallen. His posture slumps. His gaze drops to the ground. You say I have such a terrible power? This must be some sort of... If your spirit form were a bee, would you be mystically compelled to make honey? Were it a bird, would you spend all day making nests? Tamarin opens his eyes once more and looks Heravius up and down before wincing and shutting his eye once more. I'm saying this is what the animal your form resembles is known to do. It seems you are eager to leap to your own conclusions. I would not normally advise one to speak with the circle at Blood Sands, but given your circumstances, the ethic knoll may prove of insightful. Whoops! He turns and with his eyes still closed points to the northwest. Read the stone slabs carved by the druids of the Blood Sands. There are answers to be found as well as more questions, but you must explore them for yourself. What exactly is written on those stones? Much of it is utter rubbish from the incessant need for sacrifice. His calm countenance wavers as he says that last word with a spit and hiss. But amongst the dogma are a few bits of wisdom on Galawain. Your friend will understand. Is there any more you can tell us? Only to trust in Galawain. And trust in Whale. Both have blessed you in their own difficult ways. I appreciate the attempt to lift my spirits, Heravius grumbles, but that doesn't really help. Heravius sighs and digs into his ear stump with his index finger. But he has a point. I shall trust Whale as something to show me in the Blood Sands. Let's get going. Whew. Good thing the information we need is on stones, so we can actually go read it. The bark feels warm. The roots almost seem to twine around your hand. Beep. Now we can travel to her, not to Burial Isle yet. Oh well. Golden leaves flash and shine as they fall from the trees. Talk to Iswild is something we absolutely have to do. We're not doing it though. Going back into Blood Sands. Oh cool, I don't think we murdered any stones. Yeah, exactly, Luxie. It could have been worse, right? Worst design is having a companion quest locked out because he followed the main quest first. That's just a shitty feeling. I know it's logical. It makes sense. And that moment of, I didn't expect this to happen, I expected this, and then the game going, well, too bad, buddy. Like, that is a legitimate choice you could put into play and say, your actions have consequences, man. But that's not as fun. Not to be an asshole about it, but like that's not as fun. 9 will. Not bad. Thanks, Talon. Lol. And it's much better to, I feel like it's much better to have this option to say, and honestly Pillars does it fairly well in other cases where like, if we accidentally killed everyone here, we could go read the corpses.
You're not getting through me.
You know?
My mind feels sharp as steel.
And if we couldn't do that here, it would feel odd. Like the game is punishing us in a way it hasn't in any way before. Keeper Werther is still here as well. I've heard Werther's head turns to you, but he seems to look past you through clouded eyes. I've heard the screams of the others and smelled their blood in the air. A grim irony that the ethic doll should perish alongside a millennium's sacrifices. The ancient dwarf inhales deeply. You're doing. Come to finish a old blind woman too? Or have your other business? And we're not allowed to attack her. Well, actually, I think we can and go sword attack, but there's no reason to. And I think that's interesting too.
Varathis!
I think it's particularly interesting that the game provides a difference in this named NPC. Why does she not attack you in sight like everyone else who's in here since we turned on him? I don't know. Maybe she's older? Maybe she's got a different opinion? Maybe, and more likely, she's still involved in that other quest and the game does not want us to, like, not be able to sacrifice a baby. Loxy! Oh, wounded. You're absolutely correct. The bravest sons and daughters fall
Is
by...
not the waters sacrificed unto the plant, and the plant sacrificed unto livestock, and livestock unto man? When the lesser soul is sacrificed to strengthen the greater soul, the whole of our family grows stronger.
Hervius skims over the grandfather's script, clears his throat, and reads aloud.
I suppose I get the argument. We all have to kill and eat, constantly for that matter, to live. This sounds like it's talking about the Blood Sands rituals. I wonder how, or even if, this is relevant to me.
He looks at you with a furrowed brow. You wear an eye patch of whale. I thought you were supposed to love cryptic information like this. Hervius stares at you with a smile. A fair point. Whale wanted me to see this, so what about it applies to me? His voice sinks and his face turns pale. Am I the lesser soul? Was being cast out of my tribe as a sacrifice to make the greater soul stronger? I don't know, it just sounds like they're trying to justify their practices of killing people. Come on, let's see what the other tablets have to say. Also, hilariously, we get a different snippet.
All right, then.
We get a different snippet when we read it. Well, that was good. Bonk! Boy, it might have been nice to, like, walk in here before we killed everyone, but I'm Tish. Like, there's trails of blood here. It's just... I don't like it. I'm glad we made a decision. That decision being to kill everyone inside.
Each generation, the Onumfoth must stand before the autumnal beast in judgment. The wise endure, passing on their strength. The weak are eaten, their souls ripped to pieces and lost for all time, removing such weakness from the cycle.
Hervius reads from the grandfather text. Hervius coughs uncomfortably and continues.
Well, I guess maybe my tribe wasn't entirely wrong about my spirit form being some sort of soul terror. I suppose I was hoping to hear a different answer on the matter, but...
Hervius shrugs, his arms slump to his sides. Hey chat, 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1. But it's worth asking, in all your times walking in Autumnstale Gas Fur, how many souls have you destroyed? 2. A truth is revealed to you and you whine about your distaste for the answer. Whales should be ashamed of you. 3. Did it ever occur to you that Gallowin was testing you and you passed? And 4. You seem so sad to have the spirit form of such a legendary beast. Don't tell me you never wished for power like that. Lux is like, not 2. Well, that makes sense, you know. Like, you're not gonna straight up say, you're being a dick. Couple of votes for 3, makes sense, I like it. Three seems like an interpretation. Yeah, with a couple of votes for 3, I feel like I'm confident to press number 3, and I'm gonna do it unless someone yells at me. 1 probably likes his vote. That's fair. Here Vince's intact ear stands up and a smile crosses his face. That's a very good point. Why didn't I think of that? He runs his hands along the scars near his eye, and his posture becomes alive with nervous thought. Maybe you've been thinking about this all wrong. I mean, I survived an encounter with the Autumn Stalgar. Plenty of Adam Farther can't say the same. He lets out a long sigh and relaxes. For years I've been telling myself my tribe judged me unfairly. Guess they weren't completely wrong. Well, enough pontification for the moment, he says, patting down a cowlick of hair. I need to know more. Let's look at those other tablets. And we will, don't worry. I think everyone in here is dead now, so I'm happy to just walk through. Click.
As souls split into multitudes, many lives come from one. The truest of power comes from sacrificing the shard to return its strength to the mother stone.
Hervius says with dramatic gusto as he reads the Glenfartham ruins from the tablet. Runes from the tablet.
The many lives from one sounds familiar. I was taught that sometimes between death and rebirth, a soul splits perfectly in two, creating 2 viable souls from one.
Soul twins.
Sounds strange, but it makes sense when you think about how the population has risen in generations. It's kind of a mathematical necessity that some process like this is happening.
Well, someone just poked at a writer. Is like, oh yeah, what about population growth? Where do souls come from? And the writer was like, fuck you. Like with that dragon. Soul twin, exactly. But I don't think soul twins are the exact same mechanism. I mean, I did just say that out loud, and I don't want to pretend like I know everything and can gaslight you into believing it's different. But this kind of makes sense that with the growth of sentient life, there needs to be some way to split them apart. I think soul twins are a slightly different mechanism. Or maybe they're exactly the same and there are just many people who are supposed to be together. But like the soul twin thing was like very explicit. They needed to seek each other out. They wanted to be together, and the dragon was much happier when it devoured the soul. Yeah. I'm gonna go. Maybe the Autumn Stalgar has a very important role to play in the life. No. Chat, what do you think? I'm sorry. 1, 2, or 3? 1, thanks to the Animancy lesson. But what do you think this has to do with you? And 2, maybe the Autumn Stalgar has a very important role to play in the life cycle of souls. And 3, so why did Whale lead you to this tablet? Because remember, Hervius is quite devoted to Whale. He really does believe in the finding and the hiding of secrets in turn. Weirdly faithful for such a hilariously raunchy person. They aren't explicitly always separate, but yeah. 2 votes for 2. I like that indeed. I'll hit 2 in just a moment unless we get some votes. Lots of votes. 2 is good. Perfect. Sorry, sir. I'm not eating your soul. I'm merely serving a vital role in the natural process. Hervius rolls his eye. I see what you're getting at, but it's not making me feel better. Fungus that grows on shit has an important role in the natural order. That wouldn't make me thrilled to spirit shift into a shit blossom. Hilarious, Hervius. I just can't shake the fear that I'm the shard and my destiny is to be fed to something greater. Hervius stares at you, wide-eyed and silent for several moments. I guess worrying won't do me any good. Let's read those other tablets. I thought that was the last one, buddy. Maybe there's one up here. Yeah, this one probably.
Upon Burial Isle, the 2 men meet again for the first time, though it was the last thing they did. The many-colored beast rent them both asunder. They were, in death, merged and made whole again.
Hervius clears his throat and reads the Glenfartham script on the tablet.
Cute story. 2 guys meet in the belly of a soul-eating creature. Maybe someday I'll eat 2 of the most insipid deer wooden lumberjacks, and they'll spend an eternity discussing beer whilst haunting my colon.
He looks at you and chuckles nervously. 1 and 2. Perhaps the idea is that the Autumn Stalgar might not really destroy the souls. And 2, why so flippant? It sounds like Galawain gave you an incredible power. You were the one to ask for his help. Not like it came to you. 2 votes for one. And I think it's a good one, you know? Oh, Coyote community. I was excited when I saw a first time chat. I was like, hey buddy, glad to have you with me. We're gonna ban you. But if you do want to come back and chat and hang out instead of sell things, let me know. Coyotes are pretty cool though. I could join a coyote community. Unless we get another vote in a few seconds, we're going to hit number 1. Oh, there we go. Good job, Emma. Alright. So we said Autumn Stalgar might not really destroy the souls. That could be true, here VS mutters. But I guess I don't know what to make of this. I've never, knowingly at least, eaten anyone's soul. Maybe it's a trick I've yet to learn. Lucky me. I mean, if you add what the other tablets are saying about the Stalgar, judging the Atom Fata and reuniting lesser souls and such... Here VS folds his arm and looks at you pensively. Okay, the druid's right. I did need to read these tablets. Too bad I'm still confused. 1 and 2. 1. Is it safe to say a whale brought you to where you needed to be? And 2. Are you rethinking your opinion of Galawain's gift to you? Coming to the crux of it, we wanted to know the story of Heravius, what his quest looks like. We're coming close to the end of it. His tribe cast him out because they believed his spirit shifted into the Autumn Stalgar, and they are aware that the Autumn Stalgar eat souls. It's also funny that way earlier in dialogue, we were like, we did not choose, but how many souls have you eaten, buddy? We didn't choose that one, but we still learn now, I don't think I've eaten anyone's soul. Pretty good. So, 1 vote for 2. Thank you, Hendo. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Pretty ambivalent on these. Pretty happy with hearing his response to either. Sounds good. I think that makes Emma the last vote. Unless we have several more of the other viewers, if they have a moment to cast in their direction. We are happy to have it whenever anyone is watching live to throw their vote in and address how the game's going to go. But I also recognize that you could be playing video games like I do, and you don't want to alt-tab and type in 1. Another vote for 2. Are you rethinking your opinion of Galawain's gift to you? Heravius' face squirms and he rocks his head side to side. Well, yes and no. His fists ball up and he releases a long sigh. Yeah, this puts a lot of things into perspective. If you take a step back from it, Galawain must be having a great laugh over how slow a study I am to learn his lessons. I doubt any of this knowledge will change the opinions of my home tribe. And having met some of the other druidic practices out there, I think I'd rather remain a drifter. So what now? Adding it up, I want to head to the burial isle. The name was mentioned in the tablets and implied there might be other Autumn Stalgars there. I did not want to hear verification that the Autumn Stalgar was such a terrifying monster, but I am grateful to Whale for bringing me to these tablets. The truth is valuable, especially when it is painful. Do you think you have some destiny to consume someone's soul? It's a notion that's always troubled me. Maybe eating souls is like fucking. I just meet the right person, instinct will take over, and I'll feel ashamed yet smug the following morning. I remembered that dialogue and wanted to read it out loud, so I clicked it for you and didn't let you vote. Sorry. Yeah, because I thought you'd like it, Luxie. And potentially everyone else as well. You know, it's just an intimate moment between two people when you eat someone's soul. Yeah, true to form. Explore the burial isle. Well, we'll do that. That's the last place we go. I will note, we're gonna finish nearly everything in the game before we jump into the pit. Because once you jump into the pit, you cannot get out of the pit. And the game very explicitly says, when you jump into this pit, you cannot go back to other parts of the game. I'm fucking glad it does. Iswill. An elf with placid green eyes nods in greeting. Welcome to the Golden Grove, traveller.
Builder's wisdom to you.
Do you seek the wisdom of our herbalists, or simply to bask in Waratha's glory? Who leads your order? High Ovate Erona, leads us. She sometimes journeys to Elmshore to renew her strength. However, she's there now with some of her closest followers, in fact. Arona is a mighty elm among us. She's lived for generations. There are none who understand the world as well as she, and we are fortunate to have her wisdom to answer our questions. I'd like to know more about Arona. Her eyes brighten. Why, you must meet her for yourself. She is wise and kind, and she has led our order from the beginning. Yet she walks among us and gives freely of herself. She turns her gaze to the great twisting elms. That is what so many of us cherish about her. She is present among us in a way that the gods never are. Tell me about the Golden Grove. We are the Ovates, druids, philosophers, and students of nature. We gather here to share our knowledge and celebration. She gestures to another elven woman standing near the entrance to the grove. Many travellers come to us for poultices and remedies. Bloodhound understands the cures and poisons of nature like no other. What do you believe? We believe that the knowledge is found in the earnest exploration of the natural world. She tilts her head. We do not, as some have said, oppose the gods. We simply believe that we have found a brighter, more peaceful path than devotion. I must go. Okay, so she was not what I thought she was. I was hinting at it, but the addendum added, student of death, essentially just said something pretty interesting. I'd like to know more about Arona. I even meets her herself. She's wise and kind and has led our order from the beginning. We're definitely going to have to kill her for Barath. Or, of course, we're like, no, you can live. You're not sacrificing babies, so we don't need to kill you. Elms Ridge dwelling. Tribeswoman. The fire gives off a thick, rich odor of burning peat. Oh, fuck yeah, love me a peat. Hell yeah. Pausing to issue commands is an important part of combat in Pillars of Eternity. Yeah, if you're not playing on the easiest difficulty and just YOLOing your way through. Right. Been to Elms Reach, been to Hearthsong. Let's go to Hearthsong again. Because, it would be good to finish off the Barrett's quest. I know. We should go to Old Song and I'll show you the new map. But soon. It's 13 minutes till we finish tonight. We had nearly 3 hours of play and it's been some interesting stuff. Like, comparatively, last episode of Final Fantasy II, a lot of plot things happened. But boy, was there a lot of random combat that just got boring. Here, however, no. Juicy main plot, my favorite. Unlock with rusty key, what's in here? Jimbles, what are you doing? No, Jimbles, stop, don't steal a baby! There's no one in here. The hearth still smells of freshly cooked game. Grease splatters the blackened bricks. That was elsewhere as well. Free milk. Some sugar. An all-in baby lies in the crib, tiny and dark-furred. Though her eyes are clothed with sleep, she squirms under the blanket and nuzzles the pillow. Ah, Loxy, I'm sorry about that. You missed the Final Fantasy II stream, you missed everything. It happens. The Final Fantasy series so far has been a really good way to get Jimbles talking about random shit, right? And expound on political philosophy as well as role-playing game. The early Final Fantasy II, lots of it. Lots of stuff to say. But when the random battles start to drag so much, I do phase out a bit of attention. Yeah, I still think it'd be worth it. Worth watching, certainly worth watching compared to playing. And I do enjoy it, but there is a reason it is rated lowest, and I agree. So, I'm actually not going to ask chat to vote on this one. I'm going to take the baby. And I'm going to tell you why. Now that we've killed her adoptive father and most of the tribe's people, if we leave the baby here, she dies. Because when the Three Tusks Delgar guy says, I've arranged to have her left alone, he killed the people currently looking after her. I'm pretty sure. So, we're gonna take the baby. Yeah, exactly. And I think it would be mean if I asked you all to vote on whether we take the baby now or just leave her here. Because it's entirely possible you'll be all like, no, don't take the baby from her loving other family that would definitely be fine. Not knowing what I know about the ending slides. That would be a shitty thing for me to just drop on you. Okay? So, take Vela. You've gained an item. Quest. Baby. Inventory. Stash. Quest items. Baby. This is the child of Winwin, a Glenfartham Anamfarth. Though unusually quiet and calm for a baby, this is a healthy infant that has managed to avoid the effects of Waidwin's legacy.
Hey.
Let's get out of here. Save the baby in the stash. Baby's in the stash, absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't load in enemies that are like, hey, put the baby back, do they? No, it does. Shit. I forgot this happens. Lyra's weapon is drawn and his eyes burn with anger. Looks more like his father than ever. I knew my father was a soulless beast, but you... I hope you choose differently. I forgot this guy exists. Where did I learn that if you leave the baby, she dies? Because I remember someone saying I found out she died and I loaded my save so that she wouldn't die. Because I thought I was doing the right thing. Anyway. So this is Lyris. Yeah, now we know. He is. His father was the leader of Three Tusks Stelgar, and he's like, my father's fucking nuts. I hoped you wouldn't do the same, but here you are trying to steal a baby. And he nodded in, like, agreement as we killed his father and a lot of his clan. So chat, now vote. 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1. I was just going to take her someplace safe. And 2. Do your worst. And 3. Why don't I give it back to you so that we can forget about this? And 4. I'm keeping this baby. I'm kind of glad this happens because I didn't want to leave the baby there. That just felt terrible to me. And now we have an option. But I will also admit that my only motive was to make sure the baby didn't die. I also think it's very funny to steal the baby anyway and have her join us in Pillars 2. That's great. 104, we can try 1 from Larksy. If there is a non-combat way of thus saving the baby, you'd want to reload. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. 104. Well, we got 1 vote for 1, and 2 votes for 104. I'm keeping the baby. Alright, 1. I was just gonna take her someplace safe. Not a chance, Estremor. If there isn't a non-combat way out, and the saving the baby thing was wrong, I'd want to reload. Well, we were just like... Let's check out autosave. It should be when we left the building as well. Hearthsong autosave. Hearthsong dwelling autosave. Reload. Yeah, let's give it a try. I want the baby. Please, I want to see the baby. Man, Mandalorian was a good show. Hey, buddy. Why did I give it back to you so we can forget about this? Not a chance, Estremor. So... Okay, that's a good one. If I was wrong, leave the baby. Well, let me see. It's just a quick Google. Vela, Pillars of Eternity. If you keep your doing... She was up here. Yep. Feel this conversation. Yeah. To me, superficial bloodlines. Taximok, he deserves to die. Tunnicliff, kidnap the baby, sacrifice her. If you, unsurprisingly, if you kidnap and sacrifice the baby, grieving mother leaves the party permanently. Yeah, not a surprise, buddy. Poison Shemok. Oh, that's something else you can do. Ask Bladehead to give you a flask of poison. Given the poison, he'll hesitate to drink it. You can convince him to drink it, and then he dies via poison. That's funny. Poison Seamok, and then keep the baby. Stick key to get him. Take the baby. Intercepted by Lyris and attacked, no matter what you say. Yeah. And then you poison the dude. You still have the baby, won't have anything to do with it. And then it bugs out, and the game thinks Lyris is still alive. Poison Seamok and sacrifice the baby. And then you can drink the distilled poison, the distilled essence, and you get a bonus. That's kind of fucked. I can't see one way or another whether she dies in the wikis I'm reading, but I do remember talking about the game online that you get a slide saying the baby dies if you, like, no one looks after her, which sucks because this guy's willing to fight for her, but then nothing. I don't want to risk it, so I'm going to keep the baby. I got room in my back if you let me name it. Adair! First, and she's got a name, dude. He draws back. By the builders, how do you expect to take care of a child? Do you have any idea what's involved? He steps forward again. It stops now. Clearly there are people who look after her, but I also just read on the wiki again. The game assumes this guy dies even if he doesn't. Like, you can poison Simok without even talking to this guy, and the game is like, he's dead. It's not great. Oh, well. Oh, Steadfast leveled up. Oh, that feels bad. Kill 20 enemies, melee enemies with Steadfast. And kill 100 enemies. It was Steadfast unlocked next level. Well, single edge backsword, recurve, like, cool. Kill 20 or 100 people and we get to the next rank.
Hey.
Glad to hear it. Well, I'm sorry for stealing a baby. I'm glad we stole the baby. This about the clouds travel to Hylia's temple in ruins of an old temple to maybe able to find the Elves' lair. Okay. Fled the mountaintop. Yeah, you can hide in a ring of stones. I know where that is. Old Queen and New King. Travel to the Stone Moor. Wolf's Moor in an area looks like a temple district. That's old again. Servant of Death. We need to find into Elmshore. To Elmshore? That's not where we are. Well, let's go there then. Find Noonfrost. We know where that is. Hunter Brother. Oh, well, it's exactly 10 o'clock. Or nearly 10 o'clock. Travel to Northweald. We can go there as well. At the Mercy of the Tribes. We'll do that soon. Champion of Bereth. Yeah, we'll do this one soon as well. Don't worry, we will not forget to do quests. But we will have to end the game tonight. Well, sorry, end our session tonight with a save game titled Stole a Baby. Which is fine. Sometimes you just steal a baby. It happens to the best of us. Don't need to feel guilty. Alright, that's terrible. I'm no longer going to continue running that joke. Of course I know how to take care of a baby. Adair, name this baby. Good fun indeed. Well, that was a really good session. I had a very good time tonight. Thank you so much for making Monday evening a highly enjoyable stream evening, everybody. Had a lot of people drop by, some old faces, some new friends as well. rather than faces, more like older usernames. Still good. Anyway, well, like, sincerely, it was a lot of fun. I lean you again to check out Full Security, who is streaming Tuesday nights. Plasmophobia, at least for the last few sessions, because of the spooky season, but now that November has rolled by, maybe she's playing a new game. And also, if you're free on Friday afternoons, you can check out Nego's stream of a very good, much better than I expected game called Cordelica, I think. Whatever it is, it's a good game. Watch the VODs. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I'm off to have some dinner, do some dishes, maybe catch a nap. See you again.